The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. I have my little Yeti. I can't remember that damn name. Yeti. I got to think of Star Wars.
It's right here.
Well, I didn't see it there.
It's right
Oh, okay, well, you're right. It is kind of there. I had to look on top where it says Yeti on top of the thing. I had no idea it was
It's
in the
also
back.
on top.
Well, I had no idea it was on the back of it. Anyway, Greenwood Chevrolet,
Welcome
and
to
we
Advent-
thank them to.
Welcome to Adventures with Ron
Yeah,
Podesta.
we thank them for the Yetis. And they are the sponsor of the program. I don't know how much longer after the first 2 minutes of
luckily
stupidity.
for you, the Yeti isn't the sponsor. Greenwood is the sponsor.
Fortunately for me, yeah.
If we were sponsored by Yeti, they would be like,
Yeah,
pulling.
out the door.
We're
Yeah. But Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown is sponsoring Running Point. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, do yourself a favor. More importantly, do your wallet a favor and check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Interesting weekend in sports. We have an APB out on Tammy Swearingen, who is the head volleyball coach over at Westminster. Volleyball season, a fantastic year for Westminster. Actually, a fantastic year, not just in volleyball, a fantastic year in football as well. A great fall, quote-unquote,
Spring?
season. Spring?
Question mark?
Spring? Volleyball and football. They both get the President's Athletic Conference, or the PAC, if you will. They get a championship, so congratulations. And we have we are efforting to get Tammy Swearingen on the air. She's a Columbiana girl, so she does have ties to the Mahoning Valley.
I thought that name sounded a little bit familiar.
Yeah, she does have ties to the Mahoning Valley. So a Columbiana girl who is now the head coach for Westminster in their volleyball program, which is turning into a really, really good program.
Well, I got to watch the Division I volleyball championship, and if you've never seen the Division I, like the elite volleyball, oh my gosh, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it's
Kentucky won; they beat Texas in the championship.
It's a pretty crazy sport when it's played properly. It's a pretty crazy sport.
Like, I love it on all levels. I love doing the high school teams we do here at YSN on the fall, but man, doing even YSU, and then to go and watch, to actually physically be able to watch, Pitt. I've watched Pitt a couple times. It's just insane the things that they're able to do in the elite level of volleyball.
Yeah, volleyball, and I don't want to take a shot at anyone, but volleyball, major Division I volleyball. Ooh, wow, that's a big step up. A huge step up.
Yeah, there's a big gap between even elite high school and elite college. I think it might be the biggest gap, except for baseball, of course. You have to go through a bunch of levels to get to Major League Baseball, but you know what I mean. Because college, what do you think the jump is between like high-level high school baseball and college baseball at the D1 level?
It's pretty big jump. I mean, it's a pretty substantial jump.
They're all big jumps. I feel like.
I think volleyball's a bigger jump than baseball, though, because baseball, at least when you're in high school, every now and then you'll see a kid that throws high 80s, low 90s. Not very often, especially if you're in a smaller school.
Right.
But if you're in a big school like Canfield or Boardman or Fitch,
and I'm talking
you're gonna see those kind of pitchers.
And I'm also talking like if you're on one of those teams that's like constantly going to state tournaments and playing in the state, in the state tournaments, you'll probably see a lot of kids throwing high 80s, low 90s if they're good enough to get to state.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think it is a jump. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's a significant jump, but it's not as significant a jump as high school volleyball to college, major college volleyball, especially in Ohio, or at least in this area, because this area is not too good in volleyball, unfortunately.
It's not too far though. I mean, we got the Canton Massillon area in volleyball, which is a huge hub, and we're like right there. I mean, we're right there. We just got to get a little bit more girls involved in travel volleyball and JO, and so they can get exposed more to that level up in Canton.
Okay, so Coach Swearingen just shot me back a message saying that's cool. Let's do this. So we will get her on at 2:00 to talk Westminster volleyball, and that will be cool. Also over the weekend, I'll tell you, I said Youngstown State needed to put the hammer down on Oakland, and they did drop the hammer. They took all 4 from Oakland.
How about that last game? That was the hammer.
Yeah, well, that was the coup de grace, if you will. That was the get out of our building, get out of our town, get out of our state, and we're going to take your hot dogs and eat your pregame and postgame meal and kick you back to Michigan where you belong. Unfortunately for the Penguins, they don't go to second place because, well, there's a hotter team in the Horizon League than Youngstown State, which is hard to believe because the Penguins have ripped off 5 wins in a row, but the hottest team in the Horizon League is the team Youngstown State will be facing this weekend in Chicago, and that would be UIC. They are on an 8-game winning streak. They swept Milwaukee.
Oof.
They are in second place, 1.5 game ahead of YSU. And we can now start officially.
Did Milwaukee drop the 4th?
No, they did drop the 4th.
Wow.
And Northern Kentucky, who got swept by Wright State, is now in 5th place and really deep into 5th place.
Coming into the weekend, Milwaukee was 2, right?
Yes. Yeah, they went all the way down to 4. We can now start talking magic number in terms of the Penguins getting into the tournament, and that magic number is 8. And that's a combination of Penguins wins and Northern Kentucky, excuse me, not North. Northern Kentucky losses equaling 8. Yeah.
If you have a list, they're the North.
Wow.
So
You went Sidney Brady on me. There's your pop culture reference.
I don't know if that one counts. I don't know how many of our listeners.
I would.
Because even me, I was like a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
we'll get back to it.
We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you on that one. Northern Kentucky has 16 losses. YSU has 17 wins in the conference. That's 33. 40 is the amount of games that are going to be played. So 8 is the magic number for Youngstown State to go to the postseason this year.
I love magic. We're talking about magic numbers now. I love it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Penguins get a chance to take on UIC, the 2 hottest teams in the Horizon.
Something's got to give in Chicago.
It'll be fun, and the Penguins took 3 out of 4 from UIC, so UIC is going to be looking at this going, we need to get a little revenge. So the Penguins take all 4 from Oakland. UIC takes all 4 from Milwaukee. Penguins 17-11 in the league. UIC 17-10 in the league. Let the games begin. This should be a fun weekend.
Yeah, and then the softball team, man, they split to Robert Morris. They lost 2 extra inning games. And the last one, I don't get upset too much about sports, like really upset. I was upset because it was late in the night. One, Robert Morris doesn't have lights in their field, which I think is it's bad for a Division I school to not have lights on their field.
It's kind of like the Wrigley Field of pre-lights. It was the Wrigley Field.
You have a huge, elegant basketball arena, and you can't put lights in a softball field. I think it's just kind of... Beside that, so they're in the 8th inning. Penguins have run. Robert Morris is running on first. Girl, grounds out to short. Penguin shortstop makes a really good diving play to keep it in the infield, flips it to second, and it should have been a double play. The girl slid into second and then stood up into the throwing lane, hit off her helmet, ball goes past first base, and then the girl that was running to first gets to second. The umpires did not call any kind of obstruction or interference. They talked about it for like 5 or 10 minutes. And you're safe at first, you're safe at second. And I was just like, it really felt like they were only making that call because they were losing and they didn't want that game to go into 9 innings. That's my opinion. I think that you can't stand up in a throwing lane. Am I wrong?
If it's a pop-up slide, no, you can't.
So that's exactly what she did. She slid, popped up, stood up, and got right into the throwing lane.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I just feel like it was a decision made because they were losing light and not the one that was the right call. But, hey, what are you going to do? The next girl up came up, singled, the girl from second scored, and Robert Morris walked off. So,
interesting.
Sucks. It sucks. Penguins have to score more than one run, so I'm not saying it's the reason they lost or anything like that.
You got to score more runs.
It was super frustrating, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a tough way to lose. That's a tough way to lose. Now, are they still in first place, or did they?
I think they're still in because they split. So
all right,
I think they're still in first place.
All right, so we can talk some YSU. We had some high school sports over the weekend as well. Before we get into that, I got to congratulate a longtime friend of mine who is now in the major leagues. And the moment I heard this person do public address announcing for the Bowie Bay Sox, which was the Orioles AA team, I knew that this person would be in the major leagues. This person happens to be a woman. And Adrienne Robertson is, hands down, send home the jury, the best public address announcer I heard in my 12 years doing minor league baseball. And frankly, it wasn't even close. She was that good. And she had been the PA announcer for Bowie for about 13, 14 years, somewhere in that vicinity. She had done a number of games by invitation on Mother's Day and a couple of other games where their regular PA announcer wasn't available in Baltimore because Bowie is about a half hour, 35 minutes away from Baltimore. Well, as luck would have it, before the season started, the longtime public address announcer at the ballpark at Camden Yards did something on Twitter that I didn't think was that fireable at all. It was an encouraging Twitter saying, hey, I'm looking forward to the season, but then he made a borderline smart-ass comment, and the Orioles said, yeah, you're out of here.
Wait, can you say what he said? Was it fit for air? I mean, I didn't even see it. I don't know what he...
I can't even remember what he said. That's how pedestrian it was. So the Orioles said, see you later. And the first homestand, Adrienne did the public address announcing for the Orioles, and I just told her, I said, look, they're not going anywhere else with this. I mean, they're going to be hiring you. I don't think there's any question about this. And sure enough, Thursday, she was offered the position, and of course that's a dream come true for anyone to get into the major leagues. So officially she started on Friday as the new public address announcer at Camden Yards, and that's a long time coming. So congratulations to her. She is just the third woman to be the public address announcer, joining the PA announcer in San Francisco, and I believe the other public address announcer is across the bay in Oakland.
I just want to know what the guy said.
Honestly,
now you got me curious.
It was a pedestrian comment. I can't even remember what he said. But
do you know his name?
The Orioles they said.
Well, he's probably deleted by now, but I can search. Nothing's ever deleted on the internet.
Yeah, but the Orioles just said, nah, we don't want you back. So, okay.
And so he did this before the season started.
He did this 2 weeks before the season started.
So she's been the PA announcer for the whole, like even at the start of the season.
Well, yeah, it was.
Okay.
But they were quote exploring options.
Okay.
Come on, they weren't exploring options. You got a great PA announcer right here. You don't need to explore options. I think he said something to the tune relating to the virus. But I don't think he said anything like.
Probably went against this this public picture that probably all the MLB teams want, that they're doing the absolute best they can to keep everybody safe. So it probably went against that image, I'm guessing.
I thought it was pedestrian. I honestly can't remember what he said, but. It was enough that the Orioles said, "Hey, we don't want you around anymore," which is his loss, but my good friend Adrienne Robertson's gain, and she's now the public address announcer in Baltimore.
Doors open, you can't control how they open. You just have to take it. So for her, door open, she took it, and congratulations to her.
And in a world where more and more women are finding their way into Major League Baseball and into all kinds of professional sports. On the grandest stage, I think it's just a great hire by Baltimore. And again, I don't say this because Adrian's my friend. I say this because she's the best public address announcer I've heard in my 12 years doing minor league baseball. It wasn't even close.
Well, I guess now a trip to Baltimore might be in your future.
A trip for her to be on this show is in the future. I promise you that. As soon as the Orioles get off of their homestand.
If you get her on the show, you have to let her do a mock PA announcement for the fans at Running Point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Coming up to the plate.
Yeah. That goes without saying.
I can't even name a Baltimore Oriole. Right
well, that's how bad they are.
I was going to,
but they're actually really not that bad.
Well,
they're having they're at 9-12, which puts them in a tie for last place with the Yankees.
I was looking at the standings the other night because the Royals are in first place, and I just wanted to see how they shape up against the rest of the league. No one is really blowing anybody out, even though except the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like 15-6.
Yeah, but they just dropped 3 out of 4 to San Diego.
Everyone's kind of staying in this little 13-7, 12-9 kind of.
And
range.
Actually, the Dodgers are 15-7 because they lost last night.
No one has had an amazing April, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I mean, Oakland had a long winning streak, and that got snapped yesterday. By Baltimore.
Luckily for them, Mariners lost yesterday too to Boston, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. Nobody is really, stepping up and saying, "Hey, we're going to come at you." Kansas City's actually in really good shape because the Indians are 4 games back. Minnesota's 6 games back, and the Indians and Minnesota play each other. Tonight.
And we have the Tigers in the last of a 4-game series, and we have the Pirates for 2. Yeah, I mean, you got to think those are games that the Royals can win.
Yeah, but don't sleep on the Pirates. They're a 500 team right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
listen, can we just say, Derek Shelton, you're now the manager forever and a day, and you're not getting fired ever in Pittsburgh because you have this team at 500, 22 games into the season. You're a god. Small G. Congratulations, sir.
You take your wins, 11-11 through 22.
Geez.
That's a lot better than a lot of people expected.
I didn't expect that.
And they're still in what? They're still in third, right?
Yeah, they're 2.5. Look, they're not going to win the division.
That division is rough.
Yeah, that division. Well, the Centrals, both Central divisions are rough right now.
I think the Pirates would absolutely love to take a 500 or just below 500 record out of this season if they can just keep it.
If they finish 500, there should be a ticker tape parade in Pittsburgh. If they finish 500, I'm just saying that's an incredible job early on. I know we got a long way to go, but that's an incredible job.
And the Indians, their offense finally woke up yesterday.
Yeah, it's
7 runs against the Yankees.
The problem with the Indians is they're not getting any runs scored unless guys are homering because they just can't string 2, 3, 4 straight hits together because this lineup and I made mention of this because it's such a heavy Latino lineup, and we have not had the best of spring in terms of opening or in terms of game time temperatures. There's only been like 5 games where the game time temperature has been 60 degrees or higher.
So I got a text from Paul Munson, who is tuning in, and he's one of the wonderful members of our YSN team.
Yeah.
He said he looked it up, and he said the Orioles fired him because of his Twitter account in general, not one specific tweet.
Okay.
So his account was not representing what they like through the span of 2 weeks, whatever it be.
But now I'm wondering, what exactly was it? A series of things then?
Well, Paul, this is what Paul texted. He said some of his posts they were political and would sometimes get into the fans of other teams over the Orioles. So he would badger other fans as well.
Yeah, well, all you needed to do was say political,
right.
and you can get bounced pretty quickly.
Political, and then
that.
Another one was when you're arguing with with fans over.
Well, that part of it. I mean,
can't do that unless you're Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're being really cool about it and not being a douchebag. You can get away with that.
Whoever runs the Indians Twitter, they need a raise, because the Indians Twitter account is by far one of the best that MLB has. They're always interacting with.
Oh yeah.
Even when it's a fan that's like mouthing off about the Indians.
Yeah, they'll
find creative ways.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like the Wendy's account of MLB baseball.
Yeah, I wish there were more. People that were that.
They're really good.
That sharp, where they're on top of their game. It's and listen, I have my own problems with Bauer in terms of some of the stuff and some of the idiotic stunts that he pulls. But over the weekend,
has anything come about his
banter back and forth with Fernando Tatis Jr. was priceless.
Has anything come about his substance? Like, have they proven or disproven?
We haven't heard a word.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard a word about it.
I feel like that story hit, and then we haven't heard anything about it.
So apparently they're still investigating. Or maybe this was Manfred's way of basically trying to put a little jolt into Trevor, as if to say, "Oh, we're going to screw with you and take a couple of balls."
We see your tweets.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I thought what he and Tatis Jr. did over the weekend was just hilarious. He gave up a home run, and Tatis impersonated him walking off the mound like Conor McGregor. Used to walk to the ring. So he walked around third base going like this. It was priceless. It was just absolutely priceless. And Bauer, to his credit, said, "Well, I'm not going to hit him." He says, "Look, I mean, I give. I open my mouth and I give. Well, I have to take it when someone takes me yards, and he did. So,
which is
well
perfect.
Done." Yeah, exactly.
If you don't like it, that's fine, but don't do it and then say you don't like it.
Exactly.
That's what drives me really crazy.
Exactly. I mean, my only thing with that is if someone's not doing anything like that and they get showed up, I got a problem with that.
Right.
But if someone's giving that crap out, you better expect to take it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody takes you a yard, or if you strike out, you better be able to take that because you're giving it out.
I want to see more of that. I want to see more of one pitchers, giving it and then getting it back to them. It makes baseball fun a little. That first Dodgers-Padres series was phenomenal because they were going back at each other, not like fighting in a brawl, but they were clearly, bantering.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been a fun 2 weekends of baseball between these two teams. So.
We do have a lot of high school and baseball and softball to talk about because there was a great weekend. We had pretty decent weather. It rained a little bit on Saturday, and I get so frustrated when I have to end my broadcast early. But I did it Saturday at McCoon Park. I had to shut down in like the 5th inning because it started to spit rain.
You need to hire someone who has one of those big golf umbrellas,
and their only job is to
put it over your equipment and your head and forget about them being wet because you're paying them to do this. So that's what you need to do.
I don't think that would go over too well. They'd have to be paid a lot of money, or it would be seen as wrong. I feel like.
Well,
pay them a nice
in
hat.
Lorna Dunes, and I got a golf umbrella.
Here's some Lorna Dunes. Follow me everywhere, and if it even starts to rain, you better
that
get
that bad boy's getting up there. Okay, we're just gonna be now. If it's lightning, I'm sorry. If it's lightning, there's no way in hell I'm keeping this thing up because you know my luck. I'm gonna go.
Stay there for a second, Ron. It's at the bottom of the seventh.
And I'll be sitting there going.
Ron, you okay?
Yeah.
I can just see Ron looking like the guy on Home Alone when he.
Yeah, exactly.
Skeleton starts popping up.
Hair. Well, what? Never mind. The hair's not long enough to go.
Harry.
Oh Lordy!
Harry.
All right, let's get into the baseball. And the softball for that matter.
How about where do you want to start? Because there was a lot. I'm letting you take the reins.
Well, Salem and South Range, they finished the game that they couldn't finish in North Lima. Well, actually, Beaver Township, Canfield, whatever you want to call it. Salem won that game, and then South Range, to their credit, oh my goodness, did they bring out the sticks in the regularly scheduled game and just beat the daylights out of Salem. And Salem's having a good year, so is South Range. Both of those teams are going to be fun to watch in the D2 and D3 tournaments coming up in about 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
It's getting close.
Yeah, 3 weeks from now. So both of these teams are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and I love that they got together on a non-conference season and played each other twice, really. Because it's fun to see those two teams that are both playing really well this year to kind of meet up and not be, scared to play one another because they don't want to take a scuff in their record or whatever. So it's nice to see two teams that are both playing well that aren't afraid to play each other.
Yeah, and you know what? In a world where everyone gets into the postseason, you want to be able to play up. That's exactly what these two teams did. So congratulations to Salem and South Range. Salem wins the completed game 9-4. South Range beats Salem in 6 innings. Mercy rolled them 14-2 in the second game. So both teams, like I said, both teams are going to be fun to watch in D2 and D3.
Ursuline looked good this weekend. They got the big upset over Canton Central Catholic.
Yeah, that's a team again, Division III. They'll be fun to watch. They'll be all kinds of fun to watch in this tournament. Yes, they're below 500 for the season, but they've been scheduling up all year long, and I think they'll be a solid team.
The win against Canton Central Catholic it's huge. I mean, we've talked about Canton Central Catholic a lot on this program and how they're always in the in the memories and the nightmares of the area teams in the tournament.
Oh yeah. Well, more basketball than baseball, but I mean,
baseball they're there too. I mean, one could argue. I don't want to make this argument because I don't want to. But when South Range won the state championship, someone else upset Canton. I think Crestview upset Canton Central Catholic before South Range had to play them. So, some things have to break your way a little bit when you're going to win a state championship, and South Range avoided Canton Central Catholic because they lost 1-0 to Crestview, and that helped them a little bit. So, Canton Central Catholic is always that team that comes into this district and is like, I don't want to play that. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the kryptonite. But Ursuline pitched really well against them and came away with the upset.
I'm looking real quick to see if Ursuline really is. Yeah, they're Division III. I wanted to make sure.
Because you didn't believe it?
Well, I wanted to make sure because I thought maybe Ursuline would be Division II. But no, they are Division 3, and now I got to wonder, is Cardinal Mooney Division 3, or are they Division 2? So I'm looking up and down the list now. Mooney's Division 3. So now you got both parochial schools as Division 3, along with South Range and Columbiana and Crestview and Liberty and some of those Champion. By the way, speaking of Mooney knocked off Fitch, scoring 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th. They were up 8-1, and Fitch scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. But then Mooney held on for the victory. That's against a pretty damn good Division 1 team. And Cardinal Mooney's going to be heard from in this tournament.
That means that Mooney, other than Canfield, no one scored that amount of runs on Fitch this year, I don't believe. I mean, Canfield got 15 on him in Game 1, but I don't think anyone else has scored more than 5 or 6. So to score 8 runs on a pitching staff that has been phenomenal this year, that's something to really hang your hat on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it is. Another team that I think is going to pose a problem, and we don't hear from them not until next year when they officially join the grades here, that would be Garrettsville Garfield, who knocked off Crestview in 6 innings, 18-8. And, oh, by the way, they also beat a pretty good Springfield team, 6-5. So
yeah.
This Garrettsville Garfield team is going to be fun to watch. I believe that was
the second time they played Springfield, and the other time Springfield walked them off earlier in the season. So they're starting to – I like them scheduling these MVAC teams that they're going to play next year to kind of to gear up for that season, to understand who they're going to play. And I know Springfield will be in the other tier of the MVAC, but to still play these teams and get familiar with the teams that are going to be conference games on your schedule next year, very smart move from Garfield. I think South Range did that in the year before the NE8, even though they were independent. They played almost all the NE8 schools so they could get used to those opponents and be ready for them come the next year. So good to see Garfield kind of scheduling those teams as well.
I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to see the seedings in this in D2. Well, D2 is going to be a formality. Canfield's the number 1 seed. There's nobody that I just don't even think about giving me a team, because Canfield is better than any team that we've seen in Division 2. But Division 3, I'm going to be real curious to see where the seeds are on this one.
It is going to be interesting because there are a lot of teams, and it's coach voted. There's going to be a lot of teams that probably can argue they deserve the number 1 seed. So I think it's going to be about what teams we're seeing more by Division 3 coaches, what teams are going based on pedigree and cachet that their name kind of swings along too. Because South Range will be a high seed because of what South Range has done in the last 3 or 4 years, plus they're having a really good season. So, I mean, if South Range has the record they do, even though they've lost a couple of times, they're going to have a top 3 or 4 seed because of the name they swing. You know what I'm saying? So, Canton Central Catholic will still be up there because I think before Ursuline beat them, they were the number 3 team in the state.
Yeah.
You got to imagine since Ursuline they'll probably be top 10 because of the schedule they play. Same with Mooney. Their record's not necessarily good enough to get them in the top 5, but you got to think top 10 with their schedule. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I just looked. Canton Central Catholic is Division 3. I wanted to make sure of that. So, and then we don't want to bring up any potential controversy, but you know as well as I do, some coaches don't necessarily seed the teams where they're deserving. They're seeding teams where they're very strategic about it, and who knows? Maybe we see a little bit of surprises because there are some coaches that are, I don't know if I want to do this or not.
That's another thing what I really like about these super districts is because there's more teams, the 1 or 2 coaches doing that is going to affect the team seed. Like it might when there's only 13 or 10 teams in a district. When there's 24 teams, you got to have, 4 or 5 guys vote you to a spot to get a spot you don't deserve. So you don't see that as often. I mean, you're going to see the guys that want to vote that way to try to turn the tides, but it's not going to have the impact that it would back in the days when we had 13 teams in a district, 10 teams.
I agree with that. Yeah, and unless there are a number of coaches that decide to do the same thing, which
they go under the table a little bit.
Yeah, I doubt very seriously if more than 3 coaches would agree to do the same thing. But then again, you never know.
We saw in basketball there were some wonky votes in basketball, but there weren't a group of them that really affected the seating. So we'll see how it goes.
Lisbon knocking off Matthews, McDonald beating Lowville. McDonald will be a player in Division 4, but then again, they're always a player in Division 4.
Can we just talk about how McDonald Athletics, the year they're having, it's almost unprecedented. To be as successful as they were in football, to have the basketball seasons they had, and now almost under the radar in baseball, but their softball team is dominating almost everyone they play.
Yeah,
it's something.
It's a fun year if you're a McDonald Blue Devil. The school year, sports wise, has been pretty spectacular.
And we've had the chance to talk to multiple athletes from there. They just keep saying the last sports success is just raising the bar for the next sport. And you kind of see it. Like we saw the basketball team go to state. We want to go to state too. We're raising the bar. So it's not like a competition thing where they're jealous of the other, but there's a competition thing as far as the sense of the standard for greatness at McDonald has gone up this year because of the success that all the sports have had.
Agreed. West Branch, they get a victory over the weekend. They knock off Grand Valley. West Branch is 12-5, and again, if Canfield's not in Division 2 and not having the spectacular year that they're having, I think a lot of people would probably talk a little more about West Branch, a little more about Salem, a little more about Marlington, who three of those teams, by the way, are going to be in the tournament.
Marlington's kind of hard to figure out because they kind of laid waste to West Branch, but then they got swept by Salem.
Yeah.
So the EBC's wild west of teams kind of jockeying for position.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Boardman's starting to heat up in Division 1, which is always a good thing.
Unless you're not Boardman.
Unless you're not Boardman, yeah. But again, in Division 1, I mean, I feel like we're not giving Boardman and Fitch the credit that they deserve, but I look at the tournament and I'm like, okay, you're going to have to be outrageously great in order to make a dent in that Division 1 tournament.
Division 1 is just a monster, especially with the Super District, because then you're playing teams out of Akron and Canton and Greene and teams like Perry, Greene,
Canton
McKinley, things like that are just they're baseball powerhouses, and you got to kind of navigate a really tough tournament. But I think both teams have kind of the pitching staff to do it.
Yeah, Canton Glen Oak is another team that I think is, Maslin Jackson
Jackson's
ridiculously good.
The Polar Bears, can't sleep on the Polar Bears.
Yeah, it just
grab a Coca-Cola when you play them.
Offer it to the polar bear.
Offer it to the polar bear.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
he won't.
Please don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me.
Maybe get a parrot to open up the the little cap because it's not a twisty.
Right.
So you have the parrot to do. There's your pop culture reference. I guess Cindy Brady didn't go.
We'll get more.
Yeah, well, Cindy Brady didn't move your needle.
No.
So we have to get something that's in your wheelhouse for pop culture.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Dana Balish is coming up at 1:00, and we will. I'm going to be curious to hear what he has to say about the coaches that have gone on board, and we had 5 of them on the air on Friday, and they all were not too happy with the OHSAA in terms of moving the what everyone thought was going to be a plan of 12 teams, moving it up to 16 teams.
I think the real interesting is the statements that the coaches association in Ohio came out. I mean, they were adamantly upset about this move from the OHSAA. So obviously, it did not mirror the results of that survey that went out a couple weeks ago from the coaches association.
Yeah, and the OHSAA did make a comment about it, and they said it wasn't financially, it wasn't
I hate that,
the financial thing.
It clearly is. Like, stop it. We know it is. At least own it.
Well,
struggling.
On paper, it certainly is. I mean, you're adding an extra round of playoffs.
You're also talking about having a membership fee for each sport that a team plays.
And that's the other thing that we're going to need to talk about, Danny, because at some point in time...
To say it's not financial is just...
Yeah. I wonder if enough schools are going to sit back and say, we can't do this.
There are schools that are going to drop sports. Can a small Division 4 school afford... And especially if... I don't even know if girls and boys basketball count as one or separate.
No, they're separate.
So it's $50 per sport.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay for football, volleyball, basketball, girls and boys baseball, track and field, cross country. Golf. It starts to add up. And you have to adhere to Title IX. So you can't just take one off. If it's a female sport, you have to find a way to even it up.
You got to somewhat make it even. So, if you're... Look, if you're a small school, and one of the reasons why I say this is because too many sports is going to equal mediocrity in all sports if you're a small school. And I go to my alma mater for Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, and so on and so on. So if I'm in charge or someone that is heavily involved in a small school, here's all I would do. Football, volleyball, we're even at one. Boys and girls basketball, boys and girls track, baseball, softball. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
8 times 50.
8 times 50 is 400. I can get someone to contribute $400 to this, or the school can pay for this. But that's it. That's all that I would be doing. And anyone that wants to sit back and go, well, we want our kids to play soccer, then go somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, this is all we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing football for the boys, basketball for the boys, baseball for the boys, track and field for the boys, volleyball for the girls.
Track and field for both.
Yeah, volleyball for the girls, basketball for the girls, softball and track for the girls.
You have to remember track and field. There's one of those sports that goes both. It's co-ed.
Yeah. So track and field for both.
Right.
Basketball for both. Volleyball for girls. Football for boys. Baseball for boys. Softball for girls. That's it. That's it. As a small school, sorry, we can't afford to throw out bowling or cross country or golf or. If you want to throw out a one sport that equals the both of them and make it an even 500, then go golf, and then that's it, or soccer, and then that's it. But as far as if you're a small school, you want to be able to be great or somewhat great in one sport, and if you have a smorgasbord of sports and you're a small school, you're not going to be great at anything. Because you get too many people playing all these other sports. You don't have enough bodies to be a great team in any sport if you have all of these sports for what few amount of people you have in your school. And it's a reality.
Don't want to pick on what does Latonia offer right now? What sports do they offer?
Oh, Lord. Boys and girls soccer. From what I understand, boys and girls soccer, football, volleyball, so that's 2 each. I want to say golf.
They have a golf team?
I want to say boys and girls golf, so that's 3 each. I don't believe they have cross country. In the winter time, boys and girls basketball.
They have a wrestling team?
They do not have a wrestling team.
Okay.
In the spring, baseball, softball. track. I believe that's it. 12 sports.
They offer, you'd be dropping 2 of them.
You'd be dropping 2 of them or 4 of them.
Which is sad. I mean, anytime you have to drop a sport, it's a sad moment. It's just because the athletes that work in that sport for your school, you have to look them in the face and say, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's...
Which is all going back to they're doing it because we have to drop the sport because we have to pay for sports now. Because the OHSA is claiming that they're hurting financially.
Can you actually spend an extra $100? I mean, let's be real honest here for a second. The school's not going to pay for any of this. If they want to sit back and go, oh, hey, by the way, if any of you want to, have your kid play this sport, that'll be $50, please.
They already do that. So
no. I'm not saying pay to play. I'm saying pay to have a team for your kid. So you're going to charge $50 for this
on
team.
top of the pay to play?
No, I'm not going to have a pay to play. I'm just going to sit back and say, you know what? If you want this sport so bad, somebody kick in $50 because we don't want to pay for it. Now I'm just going to make your school sound cheap, but
your school is cheap.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answers. I just know that
that's what you say, right there. You don't know the answer because it's a lot more complicated than just we'll just play 8.
I just know if I were a small school, forget about the $50. If I want one of my teams to be really, really good, I can't have 3 or 4 different choices in the fall. If I believe that I can have a really good football program or a really good, well, let's be honest, football is the cash cow. If I want a really good football program, I can't have a soccer program at Leetonia. I can't have a cross-country program at Leetonia or a small school. Forget about Leetonia for a second. If I'm a Division 7 school, I can't have a soccer program or a cross-country program if I want my football program to be great.
Here's the kicker. You're in that situation. You have a very good soccer team, but your football team sucks. How many of those soccer kids are going to say, okay, you drop soccer, I'll just go play football, compared to...
I don't think that you drop soccer then.
Then you drop football? Which you said makes all the money?
Probably
no matter how
not.
bad the team is, you're going to draw people into a football game.
Yeah. You can't drop football. I mean, that's
right.
just...
then what do you do?
I mean, you got to keep it as is, then drop another ancillary sport if you're going up against something in the fall.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, Division I schools, there's, 26, 27, 28 sports. I mean, in the fall, you got golf, you got cross country, you've got football, you've got... there's one other sport, soccer. So golf, cross country, football, soccer. On the girls' side, you got volleyball, you got soccer, you got golf, you got cross country. So you had 8 sports in the fall, pretty much.
Well, Coach Seidel, giving us an example, Matthews, historically had a good football team.
Yes.
They added soccer.
And the football team went in the crapper.
Now they get 20 players on the football team.
Yeah.
But the question is, soccer is so different from how many of those soccer kids that are playing soccer would be beneficial to the football team?
I don't know.
Can they play? I mean, are they good at football? Can they?
Well, clearly they can run up and down a field.
They can run up and down a field, but it takes more than that.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
I get that. It's more or less the. If this sport isn't available, do you go out for this sport that's on the menu in the fall?
There's nothing to say that if you take soccer away, people are just going to be like, well, then I'm not going to play a sport in the fall because I still don't want to play football. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there may be some kids that would do that. I don't know. What I do know is there's no coincidence in what Coach Seidel said. In a small school. I'm not going to use any names, but in a small school historically, if you go, we have this football program, but soccer is a newbie. Oh, we're going to have soccer. Historically, I'm willing to bet that the football program takes a significant hit because you had another program. And it has nothing to do with the fact of another program. It has everything to do with you're a small school. You shouldn't be offering this because you're a small school and you don't have enough resources, i.e. bodies, to significantly have a solid program. If you have two sports and you don't have enough bodies to really have a chance to be really good at either one of these, then you shouldn't have the one sport. The smaller the school, the less sports should be offered. If you want to be really good, or if you want to have a chance at being really good at a sport, if you're a small school, you shouldn't be offering a lot of sports.
What if you want to sacrifice being really good at a sport for saying we offer our students the different?
Then go ahead and do that, but then don't expect to, when your team struggles.
Because let's be honest, like really small, the small rung of Division 7 schools. How good are they ever going to be? Like, when you're only having 25 kids on the
my
football
team in the late 70s and early 80s were winning Tri-County League championships left and right.
Okay, you can win a Tri-League.
And would have gone to the playoffs had this absurdity of the top two teams in each region not been around.
Then you have to decide how we define really good. Like, are you striving for we got in the playoffs and we won a league, or are you striving for we want a seriously contending for a regional championship type team? Like, how do we define really good? What are we striving for?
And now when you talk about putting roots down, now you get all these roots going, and you can have conversations left and right about all this stuff.
Right,
and at the end of the day, none of this is really touching what we were talking about, which is fork over $50 for this sport, because that's what you got to pay for to be a part of this.
And you add that to the fact that you're making decisions that are, you claim they're not financial, but they look a lot financial. So when you add that to the fact that you're thinking about a membership fee, it's a bad look, in my opinion. To say it's not financial and then make decisions that are clearly based financially.
And by the way, they did get some money from the state.
Not that's what my thing is. Like, stop acting like you're really struggling from COVID, because we all know you got money for that missed season. And you got help. You didn't get a lot of help, but you did get help. The OHSA is not struggling financially in the.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far. They did get help, but I'm curious how much of that helped. It helped the cause, but how much of this became, okay, now we're really not in that bad a shape?
I think I feel like they got more help than they would want people to know they got.
Yeah. Okay, let me put it to you this way. If we can sit back and say, well, $1.5 million, I don't know what the amount is. $1.5 million, man, you don't need any help. Well, if it's a $10 million operation and they only got $1.5 million and they didn't make any money the previous year and they're still down $8.5 million, they need help. The $1.5 million aside, they're still down 8.5. And those are just numbers.
The other situation, if you need help then be transparent about it. Be like, hey, we lost this amount of money. This is what we need. This is why we're making these decisions. Don't come out and say it's not a financial decision. That's just my beef.
Well, they can sit back and say, hey, look what we're doing. We're adding 8 more teams per region for football, giving everyone an opportunity to try to win a state championship. And that's a great argument. But I'm not buying that side of the coin as much as the other side of the coin.
It's a nice fallback to it's finance. That's a great point. It does give more teams a chance to fight for a state championship.
And you can say
but
this.
It also is making you more money.
Thank you. You're looking at one side of the coin. Some of us are going to look at the other side and say, you know what? You're right. The top 16 teams, there's 8 more teams in each region that have an opportunity to go to the state playoffs, maybe for a first time. Maybe because they go to a state playoff game, maybe this jumpstarts their program and they get their program into the playoffs more frequently. Okay, wonderful, great story. But I also prefer to look at the other side of the coin and say, yes, you're helping the extra 8 teams per region, but you're also going to be making a significant amount of money because you're adding a full round, which is 2 more games times 4 is 8 times 7 is 56. You're adding 56 more games at X amount of dollars per game. You're making more money. Okay, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. Money is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But let's also not say, oh, we're just so happy to be doing this, and you're not bringing up the fact you're making extra money.
I need to be a billboard for YSN, but we were a great example because in the fall, we put video for football, and we charged pay-per-view for it.
Yes.
And we did that because people couldn't go to the games, and we were helping out the fans to be there. We could have just said that. But we also came out and said, hey, the OHSA is charging for these games, so we have to do this pay-per-view model. We didn't act like we were only doing this just to be, to the OHSA where it is helping. We were transparent about it and said, there's also going to be this pay-per-view package, and it's because of the fees that are coming our way.
Yes.
It's just be transparent about what you're doing. That's all we're asking.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice.
It would be nice.
It would be nice. But outside of this world, outside of the sports world, look at any other topic, nobody's transparent.
You're right.
And it sucks. It really does. I wish someone would, and no names, but I wish someone in a certain area of our country, in a certain place that has a couple of nice buildings.
Would you say a Commonwealth?
Not a Commonwealth, but more like a nation capital. Would sit back and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it." Oh, okay, makes sense. Instead of getting caught in a spin cycle. Well, stop with that nonsense. Yeah, just be transparent. I agree with that. Just be transparent.
Especially when you're doing stuff for kids.
Yeah.
Like it's important for corporations or whatever you want to call the OHSA, organizations is what probably they fit into, like the OHSAA, to be transparent because they're a organization that is specifically built for high school age kids. And I feel like that they have the responsibility to be a little transparent with that.
And look, I love, in some ways, I love the fact that you get an extra round of playoffs. I'm not on board with it. However, at the end of the day, I'm not on board with it. I gave my reasons on Friday why I'm not on board with it. But the opportunity for some teams to get their first playoff, okay, wonderful. We'll get into the whole reasons why I'm not on board with it, but we got to get Dana on and get his opinion on this. The weekend that was high school baseball, high school softball. We'll hear from Dana coming up in a couple of minutes. We will also hear from the head volleyball coach at Westminster. Teresa Swearingen will be calling in. She's a Columbiana native. She is the head volleyball coach at Westminster, a President Athletic Conference winner, and she was named the volleyball coach of the year.
What a spring/fall/ I don't know.
I don't know what the hell it was, but it was a hell of a good year for Westminster for their football and their volleyball program. I don't know if you call it fall, spring, Saul. Kind of a combination between spring and fall. Saul. And it's a Christian name, Saul from the Old Testament. Frawl, yeah. Sprawl. Sprawl. SPR, spring, all. Sprawl. Okay. There we go. Winner, chicken dinner. All right, Balish is coming up next. Stick around, more to come.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, and joining us as he does every Monday at this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, how are you today, sir?
Doing well, Ron, yourself?
I'm doing well. Right off the top, late last week, a little bit of controversy. The Coaches Association thought they had a pretty solid plan that they had given to the OHSAA regarding the football playoffs, where they said, hey, top 12, it probably makes sense. And the OHSAA came out and said, no, we're going to go top 16 teams. The Coaches Association not too happy. The OHSAA came out with a statement on Friday. What is your take on this, and how much do you think the OHSAA, how much consideration in terms of what the coaches did, how much consideration went in to their decision to go 16 teams, Dana?
Well, I think, Ron, first of all, you know, let's back up a little bit. They voted last February, I believe, or March, or whenever it was, over a year ago, to go to 12 teams for 2021. And that was under consideration. You know, they talked to the Coaches Association, and, you know, they had some good dialogue back and forth and so on and so forth. I think what's most mind-boggling and bothersome to the Coaches Association is when the announcement came out Thursday they were going to 16 teams, there was no talk to the Coaches Association. It came out of left field. It came, you know, it was a shock and a surprise to them as it was to anybody else. So I think that was, you know, something that the Coaches Association said, hey, you know what, at least consult with us. You know, the pandemic protocols that were set in place for the 2020 season was all done by the Coaches Association or recommended by the Coaches Association. So I think, you know, I think they were bothered a little bit when they decided to make a move such as this without consulting with the group that's responsible for putting these players on the field. I thought the Coaches Association, you know, really came out and said what a lot of people were thinking. They came out and says it's money driven, it's this, it's that, you know, but the ultimate thing is that it's financially motivated. I talked to the association on Friday, was able to get a statement, and they stand by their word that they had a lot of good input from programs that were in the playoffs last year, and certainly it's not financially motivated. They want to give communities and schools that have not been to the postseason a chance to experience that. So, I think after the dust settled a little bit, it's he said, she said. I mean, the Ohio High School Athletic Association has their opinion. The Coaches Association have their opinion. And, you hope they can work it out a little bit or work together on this if this stays. And Ron, there's been some grumblings. There's been some talk. If you're a 16 and you got to go play a 1, some teams may decide to opt out. I think what you have to keep in mind is, okay, 16 is going to play a 1, and the 1's going to win, and 8's going to play 9, and 8's going to win, and you're going to have, in my opinion, there's the possibility you could have 2 weeks of playoffs that are very bad matchups, especially if when a 1 plays a 16 and then an 8 plays a 1. I mean, that was proven the last several years if you go back and look at some of the scores when 1 played an 8. So I don't know if that's good. You're asking these young kids to play 16 games if they go from start to finish. That's a very long season. The season keeps getting moved up because of the postseason. It was moved up to August 20th this year because, we thought there would be 12 teams and, the top 4 seeds would get a bye. But I just think, the lack of communication on this, was a big part of it. And if it's not financially motivated and you want to get teams in the postseason because everybody was in the postseason last year, that's I could buy that. But I just go back, Ron, and you're old enough to remember. Look, I remember there were 2 teams in the playoffs. 2 teams played for a state championship. My opinion is, if you got 4 teams, when you had 4 teams, you had to earn yourself in. When you had 8 teams, you could stumble once, maybe twice, and let go your way and get in. As Springfield in 18 and 17, were 9-1 and didn't get in. Now with 16 teams, I just think the matchups are going to be bad. I mean, I think when 1 plays 2, or 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15, that could get really, really ugly. And I think kids. Look, you're coaching a 16-seed team. You're saying, okay, we got to go to school X and play the number 1 seed. I mean, as a coach, you have no shot, and you got to motivate your kids. And kids are smart these days, so I don't know from the morale standpoint if it's a good idea.
A couple of weeks ago, the Coaches Association sent out a survey saying what coaches 12 or 16. Did they even get results of that back before this decision from the OHSAA came out?
Well, that was the Coaches Association, and they did get the results back, and those results were pretty close. I want to say 55%, 45, maybe 57, 40, or 57. 43. They were close. It was within 10 percentage points. But I think when you look at the entire picture, I don't think it's a good idea. And I just think you're putting kids at risk sometimes, and I don't know if that's a good idea. I think, Ron and Anthony, if they would have came out and says, okay, you know what, we're going to do this for 1 year because we had a tough 2020 financially. Let's try this for 1 year. Let's see how it works and go from there. I think if they would have been honest, at least in my opinion, be honest, I think it would have been a little better pill to swallow. But I think coming out and says, they want kids in communities to experience that. That's all well and fine, but I think you got to earn your way in. And look, I'm going to use the example of Sebring last year. Sebring had a chance to go to the postseason, and I remember talking to Coach Seidel, and Coach Seidel says, "Look, we want to earn our way in. We want to earn it." And I think some teams may opt out again this year because they will have that option.
Dana, you brought up something early on, and we're speaking with 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Look, I said on Friday, this is a really bad decision from this perspective. In major college football, you're looking at a 12-game regular season. If you're not good enough to get into the playoffs, you're going to have a bowl game, and you'll have a 13th game. If you're an elite program, whether you win the national championship or you finish runner-up, you'll play a 14th game. But that's it. That's the amount of games that are going to be played in major college football, a maximum of 14. So you're going to go to the state of Ohio and you're going to tell kids 15 to 18 years of age that are nowhere near as developed as 18 to 22-year-old young men, and you're going to tell these kids, oh, by the way, if you're an elite program, you're going to be playing 2 more games in a really rough and physical sport of football. You're going to play 2 more games than a major college would in their season. I think that's BS. You can't do that.
Well, I've talked to a lot of coaches, Ron, especially in our area over the last 4 or 5 days since this came out, and I get the same common denominator is, look, it's a safety factor. It's certainly kids aren't ready for this. And I don't know if the Ohio High School Athletic Association, I don't know if they care about that, to be quite honest. I don't know how else to put it, because you would think if you were going to make a decision like this, you would go to your coaches association and say, this is what we're thinking about. And I think that's where, a lot of this is coming from, because there may have been some pushback, but the board of directors have the final say in this. But not even to go to the organization, I think, when you have a decision like this, it is bothersome. So, I don't know what's going to happen, Ron. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different things that, some coaches that I've talked to may kind of look elsewhere and maybe do something on their own with the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen or is even possible to happen, but, it's part of some of the conversations that I've had with some coaches that have called me, and says, hey, this is what we were thinking about doing, and so on and so forth. So I just don't know, I don't know this is a situation where the dust is going to settle and it's going to be okay. I think this is something that's going to go on for some time until a concrete decision is made, and that concrete decision may have, apparently it's already been made.
Now, to transition to the sports we're playing now, softball, baseball, over the weekend, the big event at McCoon Park, the Joanne Kernan Strikeout Cancer Tournament, a lot of teams from around the state there. And for the first time, I went to a softball kind of event, and it kind of felt like it was back to a sense of normal. I mean, we had a bunch of teams in one spot. Do you think that's a first step in many steps in getting sports a little bit back to normal outside of, once we beat COVID? Do you think having an event like this, and there have been other ones for baseball and softball in the last couple of weeks, do you think the events like this are the first steps?
Well, I think, first of all, Anthony, and again, you got to be smart. And again, this is same old song and dance. I mean, you should not be around people. You have to social distance, because, if these numbers trend up a little bit, who knows what's going to happen? This is something where I think people say, okay, I've been vaccinated, I'm okay. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I think you just have to use common sense, because the worst fear is, in the summertime, you're going to have all this stuff going on, and people are going to be closer and closer together, and they're going to gain more confidence, and then those numbers are going to soar. And you know what it's going to hurt? It's going to hurt, the football season. So I just think, people got to use common sense. I mean, if you go to a high school baseball or softball game, even though you're outside, if you're by yourself, okay, wear your mask around your neck, and if people come around you, then put it up. I mean, it's one of those things. Look, I know when I was going to youth league soccer games and stuff like that when my daughter was playing, I was socially distanced before any of this stuff even happened. Because it's just, you sit by yourself or whatever. You got to use common sense. And I just hope people don't get relaxed with this to say, okay, I'm not going to wear a mask and this, and I'm going to socialize with these people. And all it takes is for those numbers to go up, and we may be in the same boat we were last year come football season.
21 Sports Director Dana Ballas joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And, we haven't spoken much about this. Actually, we haven't spoken anything about this, but I want to bring this up. The fact that Youngstown State is having such a terrific year. The Horizon League, they do a Coach of the Year. How shocked would you be if Dan Bertolini is not named Coach of the Year at Youngstown State?
We could have double. We could have Brian Campbell and Bertolini both win.
Yeah, absolutely. But how shocked would you be, Dana, if either one of these guys were not named Coach of the Year?
Well, and again, Ron, I think when I don't know when the voting takes place for that. I don't know who votes. And that sort of thing. I would just hope that, the baseball season, the baseball team is having a solid season. They're won 20 games, I think, over the weekend. 17 and 11 in the conference, I think I read. So certainly, there'll be a situation. Where you come into the Horizon League tournament and take your chances. When you're playing this well as the baseball team is and the softball team, not to be, negative Nelly, but you just hope you're not peaking too soon. And, the Horizon League tournament is still a couple of weeks away. It's toward the end of May, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. So, you got to be consistent. You just got to play good baseball. You have to continue to play good baseball, good softball, and when the Horizon League tournament comes, you just have to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, we could do a magic number for the baseball team, and the magic number is 8. A combination of Youngstown State wins and Northern Kentucky losses equaling 8 puts the Penguins in the Horizon League baseball tournament for the first time in a while.
Well, and again, I don't. What do they have? 6 teams in the Horizon League tournament now.
4 teams will go into the tournament. 3 will get out.
Okay, so you're a 14 tournament. Again, it's a month away. A lot can happen, both good and bad. You just hope you can keep with the consistency on both ends.
Before we let you go, 21 Sports Director Dana Ballas joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I know you're a huge Browns fan. How cool is it knowing that the Browns are not picking in the top 10 and they don't need to pick a quarterback?
Well, Ron, I think I said this last year, and with Andrew Berry, with the front office and Stefanski, look, you pick the player or make a trade where it's going to benefit your club. I think Jimmy Haslam learned a lesson when he stuck his nose in when they took Manziel. I think Jimmy Haslam, the further he stays away from the draft room, I think he's learned his lesson. But I think let the guys who do this for a living make the decisions. If there's a trade that's going to be beneficial to help your team, then certainly you do that. In years gone by, Ron, you're always, okay, I would say to myself, okay, what are they going to do to screw this up? Okay? Well, you haven't had to say that over the last several years. They've done a lot in the off season. I think they'll try to fine-tune this in the draft, and obviously pick for the future as well. But, let them do what they have to do. Andrew Berry said last week they have 150 people on there, or 150 players on their board. And I've heard stuff about, making a trade or whatever. Look, if it's going to benefit you and the team and the organization, then you do that. And people say, well, is it a good draft, bad draft? We don't know that. I mean, when they selected Greedy Williams, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay, so is the draft of 2019 a good draft or a bad draft? Well, you would have to say the way Greedy's played, the lack of playing, it hasn't been a very good draft. and again, that's one player. But I just think, let Barry, let Stefanski, let the front office, let the scouts do their job. You could kind of sit back. I mean, and you're right, Ron. In past years, they had the top. They were in the top 10, so their pick was made by 9:30. It's going to be closer to 11. When they make that pick. So, if they stay where they are. So, I think it's a sense of, okay, you trust this group, you know what they're doing. You took a step on the field last year. Now you got to take that step off the field in the draft, in free agent signings, which they've taken that step, and go from there.
Dan, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. Dana Ballas, 21 Sports Director, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Some of us have a first-round pick, and others stole a really good tackle from a team that had no business trading with Kansas City. I'm stunned by that trade, which Kansas City stole Orlando Jones from Baltimore and really didn't give up all that much. And I'm looking at Baltimore going,
why would you?
This team is in front of you, and you know that they need help on either end of the offensive line.
Just help them.
What the hell are you doing helping this team out? I mean, I didn't get that one at all. That was crazy.
I saw that and I got a big whoop.
Oh, of course. I mean, I would have been smiling like a butcher's dog if I'd have seen that as a Chief. If I was a Chiefs fan, I would be thrilled beyond belief. Yeah, thank you. There's your pop culture reference. Now, I wasn't told. I heard Julio Jones is available with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I didn't want to bring this up with Dana, but I think if you're the Cleveland Browns, and the asking price for Julio Jones apparently is a second-round draft pick, which I think is way too low. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm on the horn right now, not 2 minutes ago. I'm on the horn right now, and I'm saying Odell Beckham Jr. and a second-round pick to Atlanta for Julio Jones. Here you go. You wanted a second? I'll give you a second. I'll even throw in an all-pro wide receiver in Odell Beckham Jr. Take him. We'll take Julio Jones. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan and that deal happens, as a Bills fan, I look at this and go, oh, that's good. You just really improved your receiving core, and you gave up a malcontent and a second-round pick, and now you can just basically go to town with that first-round pick and get the best defensive player on the board, and boy, did you just make yourself a good team.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is OBJ causing a lot of problems right now? No.
No.
Is he good when he's not causing problems? Yeah.
Yeah. He's not Julio Jones good. I mean, and the caveat in all of this is Julio Jones would have been a Cleveland Brown had the fourth previous administration decided, oh, Julio Jones, well, we don't need him. Let's go get Phil Taylor and some of these other knuckleheads in a deal in which they were screwed royally. So
I don't know if I want to poke the very delicate bubble that is the Browns wide receiver room right now. So I feel like they got chemistry and they're working together, and if you pop it by bringing an outside force in, does it stay? Because Baker can't afford a not together wide receiver room. He's not good enough to make up for wide receivers not being on the same page.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tempting. It is, because it's Julio Jones and I know how good he is. But I don't think it's like such a step up that you want to risk that.
I have a very... I don't want to give my...
Their receiver room is good. Their receiver room is it's good. It's not their problem.
I don't want to give up my top 10 picks, which I already have because I wrote them down. But I have a really, really bad feeling as a Buffalo Bills fan that New England's going to be going very high in this draft, and not only getting the 4th pick from Atlanta, but Julio Jones from Atlanta.
See, that you have to be strategic because we agreed that the trade isn't what matters. What matters is that player gets picked.
Yeah.
So if they don't make that, and then the Falcons don't pick that player,
then it's a loss on my point. No, I agree with that. No, I'll say it right now. I have New England making a deal with Atlanta, and they get Trey Lance from North Dakota State because he's a Belichick. He screams Belichick.
And you don't think he'll be gone?
Nope. No.
3rd?
Nope. He won't be gone 3rd. He screams Belichick. That's and the coup de grace. If you can get Julio Jones, and oh, by the way, it costs you a 2nd-round draft pick, and you don't have to go far up to get to
you
get
think the Patriots
that
would
pick.
Give the Falcons Gilmore for that pick, and then take Trey Lance with that pick?
You know, that's an interesting thought too. I didn't really think about that, but I mean, Atlanta.
They've been very open that Stephon Gilmore is on the market.
Yeah, and Atlanta could use a corner. I mean, you know, especially a corner the caliber of Gilmore. Now, I wouldn't say that would be enough. You'd have to probably trade your first round pick, which is I think 15th for New England, 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. You'd have to go up to get him, but it's not that far up. It's not like you're going up to number 1 or number 2, so it's not costing you nearly as much. But if you threw Steph Gilmore in a 2nd for your 1st, but then threw in
maybe a pick from next year too.
Yeah, a pick for next year, and you also included Julio Jones. Now all of a sudden, and this is, pardon me if I puke, but New England would then have their quarterback. And, oh, by the way, Julio Jones.
But Ron, as a Bills fan, you still got to be sitting there saying it's still a rookie quarterback.
I get it, but it's Belichick, and he still has most of his players that sat out on defense. Oh, look, New England's going to be better than everyone thinks. This is going to be a fascinating night. It is. It's going to be a fascinating night. And now that you have the caveat that Julio Jones is available, maybe that 4th pick along with Julio Jones, and you get some stuff coming back. Who knows? Who knows what happens? But yeah, we'll disclose our picks on Thursday. I've already made mine up. Now I have to do I have to amend this. If there are some deals done before Thursday, we'll definitely amend this. But yeah, this is going to be fun. It's going to be fascinating.
Hopefully it doesn't end up like last year where both our picks are so bad.
God, we were terrible.
We have to wait until the 16th round to even square up our bet that we made.
That was terrible. I don't know what we were thinking. That was just, it
went so wrong.
Oh, it went sideways, and then a train hit it. And,
it skirted real quick. Skirt! Skirt!
It wasn't good. All right, Tammy Swearingen, the head volleyball coach of Westminster, will be joining us at the top of the hour to talk about the Westminster volleyball team, a President's Athletic Conference Championship team this spring, using air quotes. It's a fall sport, played it in the spring because of COVID.
And Coach Swearingen also got the Coach of the Year in the PAC, correct?
Yes, indeed. Columbia native Tammy Swearingen will be calling in at 2:00. We didn't even talk about softball yet, so we're going to take a time out, and we'll dive into the softball over the weekend that was played at McCune and other places. That's all coming up in a bit. Stick around. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
By giving you confidence in your vehicle with the Greenwood Advantage warranty.
By guaranteeing you financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
Now, we're going the extra mile for you with an additional $1,500 on your trade, plus the best selection of new and used vehicles in the area.
Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and tell us how we can go the extra mile for you.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. The Baseball and Softball Coaches Association poll came out this morning. Let's go to softball first, where in Division II, Poland is ranked number 9 in the States.
They stayed at 9, and they were not, the rankings at least, were not hurt by their 12-0 loss over to Canfield on Friday night. So good for them that the coaches didn't hold that against them. But they stay at 9, and then I think they're the only area team in Division II.
Yes. Ursuline falls to number 2 in Division 3 without losing a game. Which, you know, it's a fickle world we're living in.
I talked to Coach Kernan Saturday after his game, and he said, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we dropped a couple spots, because there are some teams up there that are really good poll voters, and they might move up. There are 3 undefeated teams in the top 3. They're all 3 undefeated, and he just felt like that some teams might. He was expecting to drop to 3, so I think he's pretty happy with the fact that they got 1 for a week, and now they're still number 2. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you have to go play the tournament like everybody else, and it's just one of those things that you can put a pin in. Use it as a little bit of a motivating factor if Ursuline needs any, because the way they're playing, they don't need too much motivation.
Yeah, exactly. South Range is number 8.
Yeah, they got into the poll this week at 8.
And it kind of, sort of, at least right now, maybe answers the question of who the top 2 seeds are. Now, again, Champion is lurking, and we've spoken so often about Cheryl Weaver's team, and it'll be interesting if this holds up to where Champion would want to go. Would you go up against Ursuline, or would you go against South Range? And that's a conversation we can have later down the road.
In the one end, you've played Ursuline already, so you've seen Emily Holland, and you've seen Paige Ogden, and you've seen. But on the other end, they've seen you. Yep. But you remember Cheryl Weaver did not throw.
She didn't throw a race.
Cassidy Schaefer.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just go right at Ursuline, and with her mindset, they probably would. They'd probably pull the JFK in to say, you know what, we're going right after the top seed. We're not going to mess around. We're not going to lower ourselves, because that's Champion standard. And I feel like they would go right at the 1 seed if Ursuline was able to get that.
We'll see what happens. Division 4, Matthews. We made mention Matthews is a really good softball team. They're number 6 in the state, tied for 6th in the state of Ohio in Division 4. That's a really good program.
They continue to impress, and you know, I just have the questions about their scheduling and how much that's going to prepare them for maybe not the district level, and then definitely the regional level of softball.
All right, the state baseball coaches poll came out about an hour or so ago. Boy, Division II must really be loaded. Either that or nobody's respecting Canfield very much. They're in the top 10, but they're tied for 7th in the state of Ohio. I find it really hard to believe that there are 6 other teams in the state of Ohio that are better than Canfield right now.
We get to see them. We get the luxury of getting to see them every day. Remember that.
True.
These coaches don't. But, man, the way they're playing, it's like, who's going to beat them? How would you beat them? Their pitching is electric. They barely give up any runs if they do it at all. Their offense is always mashing people. They seem like a really complete team that's going to be extremely hard to beat come tournament time.
Yeah, they're deep in pitching, which is what you need to do in the postseason.
And you really don't need it. Once the postseason comes, they're going to be like 2 arms, and they're going to have the best bullpen in the whole state.
But you got to be deep just in case one of those starters just has an off day, which is part of the process of winning a state championship. You know you're not going to be going through everything without a hiccup, unless, of course, you're champion softball. Division III, South Range is number 14 in the state. And again, I have a hard time believing there are 13 teams in the state of Ohio in Division III that are better than South Range. I have a hard time buying that. Again, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that might be a little low. But once again, we get the luxury of seeing these teams every day. And this coach's poll is basically favors the higher cities, the big city teams that a lot of coaches get to see compared to the rural teams like South Range that not a lot of coaches get to see. So I think if you're in this poll, it's a sign of respect. It's a feather in the cap, but you can't get too caught up in where you land in the poll because just like the AP, it's based on votes from people around the whole state of Ohio. Now it's not writers because it's not AP, but it's still votes. It's still votes from a lot of people that haven't seen you play. So you can't get too caught up in whether or not you think you're too low or too high.
No, agreed. I just we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just think the Division II and Division III, we've made mention of this. D2 and D3 are going to be absolutely loaded, and I cannot wait to see the tournaments come out because this is just going to be this is going to be absolutely amazing, to say the least. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We do have some softball to talk about from this weekend. Some really, really good softball that was played over the weekend as well.
Let's start with the number 2 team in the state with Ursuline. I mean, they were tested in the Joanne Kernan Invitational. They were given all they could handle from Hubbard on Thursday night to open the tournament. 8-7, they walked off Hubbard late. And then Saturday, in the cap, they were pushed to the brink by Bishop Watterson, who is a D2 team from Columbus. They were down 3-1. Ursuline came back with a 3-run top of the 7th to win 4-3. Impressive. We've been saying all season, what's going to happen when Ursuline gets tested? Well, they got tested this weekend, and they passed the test. They get a gold star in the test of softball because they were finally pushed. They weren't run-ruling teams anymore. They were pushed. They wanted into pressure situations, and different people stepped up in each pressure situation. So very impressive. Even more impressive from Ursuline this weekend than I was in weeks past because, like I said, their kids, their girls proved they can show up in high-leverage situations and not just one person. It wasn't one player being the hero. Alyssa Shealy with the big hit against Watterson. Emily Holman with the big hit against Hubbard. So different people stepping up and making plays in high leverage situations.
Yeah, you score 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning when you're down 3-1 to a really good Bishop Watterson team. Kudos. That's solid. That is definitely solid. You and I were really looking forward to what West Branch would be like against Boardman. And I feel like
it's a competitive game.
Yeah, but I feel like West Branch, they gave this one away. 5 errors in the game, and that's an extra 1 2/3 innings worth of outs with the 5 errors. That's 5 base runners, and then you add on the amount of walks that they gave up, and now you're talking at least 3 innings worth of base runners.
Especially in, I believe it was the 6th inning. It was 5-4, and West Branch was right in it, and with their offense, 1 run is nothing. And they gave up a 3 spot. Boardman had 3 insurance runs to deal with.
Yeah, 2.
All of a sudden, 2.
Yeah.
To go up 3, sorry.
Yep.
They had 2 insurance runs to go up 3, and that's all they really needed in the final frame.
Yeah, it just, you got to play clean. Whether it's baseball, whether it's softball, on a state level, you can't give up a lot of outs. You just can't. If you're committing all kinds of errors and you're walking people, those free runners add up in a big way. And you can't allow a team to have 2 or 3 extra innings worth of baseball or softball. You have to tighten it up defensively, and you can't give away walks and hit batters and errors, and all that stuff adds up to just a disaster waiting to happen. But it doesn't happen all the time, but more often than not, when you're walking that tight rope, you fall off the rope, and that's it.
But West Branch really bounced back with a 12-4 win over a really good Geneva team in their very next game. When I tell you that these games were back-to-back, I mean back-to-back. I got caught so off guard because I was thinking, okay, after the first game I did, which was Crestview in Geneva, I thought, okay, they're going to take infield for a half an hour. I have time to run to the bathroom real quick, maybe grab something to eat out of the car. I get out of the restroom, and they're trading lineups at home plate because I forgot there's a warm-up field. So these teams already took infield. They were ready to go. And it was literally back-to-back. There was no time to wait. And West Branch didn't have any time to lick their wounds from losing to Boardman. They had to get right back on the bus. Right back on the field. Right back on the field.
Yeah.
And they beat a pretty good Geneva team, 12-4.
Yeah, and that Geneva team had lost to Crestview,
11-6.
and it was 6-5 going into the 7th inning when the Rebels exploded for a 5 spot. And they had 12 hits in the ball game. Well, let's see. Brubaker had 4. Schultz had 3. Sutton had 2. So 75% of your offense came from 3 players.
Right. I'll tell you, Brubaker had a day. 4 for 4, I think 4 RBIs to go along with it.
Yeah.
And she had the big hit that sparked that offensive run that put them up 11-6.
Yeah. Schultz had 4 RBIs. She had, a double and 2 singles. So,
and I'll tell you, Caden Sutton's curveball was really working that day. And then curveballs in softball. I know baseball, you're used to that 12-6 curve that dives down. Curveballs in softball are the ones that just bank to the the right-handed batter box. So they're outside the left. That's a screwball. They go to the left-hander's batter box. So they're outside the righties, inside the lefties. And her curveball was just...
And on a right-handed pitcher, that would be like that.
On point.
It's kind of the softball version of the curveball is the slider in baseball.
Right.
Where a right-handed pitcher, that ball is going to go away from a right-hander into the left-handed left-handed batter.
When you get really good pitchers that can throw a drop curve that curves and then drops, like Kalani Ricketts did, left-handers, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Now, Crestview ran into a buzzsaw, and look, Parma Padua, they're really good. They pretty much destroyed Crestview in 5 innings, back-to-back 8 spots in the 3rd and 4th innings. They're fun to watch.
And I feel like someone else there beat up Franciscan.
That wouldn't surprise me. But
I write so many updates that the scores kind of jumble.
How many teams total were at this facility?
I think Howland was definitely there, and there are so many teams I didn't get to cover. So there was a team that Ursuline played, which was from Columbus. That's Geneva was there, Franciscan was there, Lakeview was there, Crestview was there. Hubbard played against Ursuline. I don't know how many games they had there, but they played to open up this series. West Branch, Boardman, at least 10.
Nice. This brings back to the conversation that we had maybe a week or so ago. And as much as we love Scene Park and the facilities at Bob Scene Park are absolutely gorgeous, the softball version of that needs to happen.
Yeah, and as close as McCoon Park is as close as it gets. And really, all McCoon Park needs to kind of be on that level is 1 or 2 fields with lights.
Yeah.
So they can host a night game.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean, they have 2 fields with press boxes. They have, I think, 11 fields total. So it's a really nice complex. All they need is maybe 1 or 2 fields to get lights installed. Maybe some bleacher systems instead of just No. There are fields with pretty nice bleachers as well. So really, all they need is lights.
Yeah.
And they would be right on par with Scene Park.
Now, what about Field of Dreams? How many softball fields are at Field of Dreams?
I don't 2 or 3.
Okay.
They don't have lights either.
Yeah.
And they don't have big bleachers.
It would, to me, I think it would make so much sense if someone were to, you get the idea, well, wait a second, if we get lights here,
right.
cha-ching, you could make...
If you put lights, you'll automatically be better than Robert Morris's field. Sorry.
Your snarkiness is good.
It still bothers me.
Yeah, your snarkiness is very good right now. No, it makes sense, and I think that if you had a weekend tournament where you have to cram all of these games into one time frame because you don't have lights, you could have invited 16 more teams, knowing that you have lights where you can play from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. You could have legitimately a 32-team tournament or 32 teams playing games and have a 12-hour frame where you can, hey, we're gonna have this team under the lights. Can you imagine if you had the 2 best teams in the state of Ohio in whatever division? We're going to play this game under the lights just to let everyone see just how good
Imagine if you
these
had
2 teams are.
Fitch versus Ursuline right now, which are probably, in my opinion, the 2 teams that are playing the best right now.
In our area.
In our area.
Yeah.
Fitch versus Ursuline under the lights somewhere prime time.
That would be phenomenal. I think it would be phenomenal. And again, it's... but not just that. I mean, even if you're going into the realm of, hey, we're having a holiday,
right.
Like the basketball version of a holiday tournament where people come in, take part in this tournament. I don't know if you're spending money on this. I don't know if you're putting a money up for a fee with the money going to the athletic department. I don't know about that, but if you had like a 32-team softball extravaganza and you have lights in one of these facilities, oh my God, the money you could make is ridiculous. You could make a crap load of money.
I would love to see a tournament with like an invitational type tournament in the high school realm with, let's say, like the top even 15 teams in the area just come and just play each other.
It would be fun.
Maybe that'll be in YSN's future.
I'm just saying.
YSN Invitational.
It would be fun.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, not just softball, baseball too.
Think about it.
It would be fun.
You
could do the same thing with basketball, by the way.
Greatest thing about this weekend, though, was that it was all for a better cause. It was all for breast cancer awareness. All the money that was made for it went to strike out cancer, and it wasn't just teams getting together to play each other. It was teams getting together fighting for a greater cause, and we saw some really cool moments between some teams that fought each other really hard on the field and then got together right afterwards and had really cool moments that kind of make you realize why you love sports so much.
Yeah. It's when you have a cause like that, it's
and
pretty easy
you get to see a bunch of pink uniforms. Which, one thing, pink uniforms were great. I loved them, the ones that broke out. But I will say West Branch has completely different numbers for their pink uniforms, and it did throw me off quite a bit.
You got to have a roster then.
You got to have a new pink uniform roster.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything went great.
That's good. hey, listen, that's solid.
I went and I was like, luckily I knew I've seen West Branch before, and I knew the players well enough to know 33, and it was the 33 on the regular roster. So it was this name. I was like, this girl is not their pitcher. There's no way. Scratch that.
Hey, kudos to Isabella O'Brien. 16 punch-outs, no walks. Hubbard with a 4-0 victory over Springfield. 1 hit allowed.
She's a freshman, by the way.
Oof.
Impressive, very promising-looking freshman. And I think Hubbard might be on the rise, to say the least.
A little rise. This little softball humor thrown in.
I've seen them, and their 7-hitter is a hitter that can hit in the 4 spot and almost anywhere else. I mean, they have a deep lineup. They can take people yard. They have 2 players with 4 or more home runs. They're powerful. They pitch pretty well with O'Brien and Croyle both pitching. They're dangerous. I know they got kind of handed it to them with South Range. But you got to remember, South Range came into that series very angry because they lost to Poland in the series before. So,
yeah. How young is this Hubbard team? I mean, are they going to be losing some seniors this year?
They lose Croyle.
Okay.
But I don't think they have a ton of, maybe 2 or 3 seniors. So they're pretty young, and O'Brien they're going to be their nucleus for years to come.
Yeah. It's just when you see someone.
Croyle is going to Akron, so Hannah Croyle is going to Akron, so she's definitely.
Yeah, when you see someone punch out 16 in a game, and then you tell that team, oh, by the way, she's just a freshman. You got to deal with her for 3 more years. That's a morale.
Right.
Just a morale thing.
I'll never forget watching Aaron Gabriel strike out 36 in 16 innings.
Nice.
In Florida. I mean, when you see a performance like that where they can't touch you, it's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they know what's coming. They still can't touch it.
Yeah. So the Hubbard gets the victory over Springfield, and they're going to be a player in Division II. I mean, I don't know if they're going to. I don't know how far they're going to go.
I think what's going to be beneficial to them is their record is going to give them a little bit of a low seed, and they might be able to sneak up on some people.
Yeah.
They can compete with anybody. They swept West Branch. They beat them twice, and West Branch is one of the top teams in D2. So I think they've proven that they can really compete with anyone. They're going to really be tested when they square up with Poland come, I think, 2 weeks. So that'll be fun to watch, and it'll be a good measuring stick because unlike South Range, Poland will be in their district. So to have a measuring stick with one of the teams that's going to be in their district will be good for that team. Even if they lose to 2 games, they'll know what they have to improve on.
My alma mater got to win. It's all that matters. They beat Sebring.
There you go.
Yeah, so the girls got to win.
Latonia has been a team that has shown flashes of really, really good softball. They competed with Columbiana in the second game of that series. They took them to 6-4, I believe. So they've been a team that there are snapshots of what could be really good there. They just have to kind of put it together and be consistent.
They just need more better pitching.
A lot of teams.
Yeah. A lot of teams fall into that. Yeah. Right. It's just
like we talk about the pitching in this area because there are really good pitchers, but there are really good pitchers, and we're talking about like 6 or 7 teams. And the bulk of it, you look down and you go, well, okay, they're pitching. They need some help. A lot of teams have good hitting and lackluster pitching, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, the pitching is just that's the big part of the game where you have to have that in order to have any chance at going anywhere.
But then you also have pitchers that have to, like I've said it earlier, accepting your role and understanding your role are 2 different things. So pitchers that know, okay, I'm not throwing great velocity or movement or striking people out, but what I can do is get better on hitting. Any pitcher can hit spots, no matter how fast they're throwing or how much spin they have. They can hit spots. I'm going to work on hitting my spots, pitching to contact, and trusting the defense behind me. And I wish more pitchers that didn't have the velocity or movement that some of these ones that we talk about all the time have could accept that and understand that and work a little bit better at just hitting your spots. Hit your spots. Because you don't hit your spots when you're trying to overpitch because you want to up your velocity or you want to put more spin on the ball. You're going to miss your spots, and then it's going to be a flat ball that's going to get hammered. So just focus on hitting your spots. Stop worrying about trying to amp up your velocity a little bit or put more spin on the ball than you're capable of, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and a lot of it with baseball as well. You know, if you don't throw hard enough to punch someone out,
Right.
use the location. You can go mid-80s and punch a ton of people out if you are hitting your spots.
Right.
If you're hitting, if the three greatest words for a pitcher is location, location, location. If you hit your spots, you can punch people out even if you don't throw
And even if
an
you don't,
average
like,
fastball.
your goal shouldn't be to punch people out. It should just be get people out. Period.
Yeah. Just put it in an area where no one's going to be able to hit you yard.
Right.
They're going to beat the ball into the ground, and and there you go. I mean, I'll give a great example of a guy that I never thought would be in the major leagues, let alone have the career that he did, was Doug Fister. Doug Fister was in Double-A ball in Seattle. I mean, he had good stuff, but he didn't have great stuff. I mean, he threw in the high 80s, low 90s, but his location was impeccable, and I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going to play in the big leagues. Hell yeah, it played in the big leagues, and the book on him was real simple. If he got ground ball outs early on, you're screwed.
Right.
You're done for the rest of the day.
And I feel like outside of Ohtani, Japanese pitchers are that way too, where they're going to hit their spots like crazy. They're not going to blow stuff by you. The Royals had one a couple of years. Bruce Chen.
Yeah.
Drove people crazy because he threw in the 80s.
Yep.
But he just hit his spots.
Hit his spots and had people beat the ball into the ground because you couldn't put the ball in the air because he's throwing pitches knee high on the inner half, outer half of the plate.
And then also your motion can make that deceptive speed.
Yeah.
If you have a good motion that you release late, all of a sudden your 85 looks like 90, 91, even though it's not.
You're right.
Hide the ball well.
Yeah.
Little things that can really give you an advantage as a pitcher.
If you pitch to contact, and we'll go back to softball, if you pitch to contact, especially if you have a really good infield, there's nothing wrong with that.
And the best,
let your defense do what it does best.
Boardman is one of the best infields I've seen so far this year. They have just Jenna Alexa and Kato Horto in the middle, and then you have Nadia Ruana at third, and Scavelli at first. It's a really solid infield. The plays they made in that game against West Branch, some of the plays they made, incredible.
I love a pitcher that can pitch to contact. Now the problem with that is, if you miss a spot and you don't throw very hard, the ball's going to come with peanuts and an in-flight movie. It's going to be hit so damn hard and so damn far. But you know, if you can hit your spots and trust your defense, good things can happen. Speaking of trusting your defense, volleyball is a nice defensive sport, and
we're going to talk about Westminster's defense because in our break I was looking up some stats. I wanted to get prepared for talking about this team.
Yeah,
they hold teams on this season to a .086 hitting percentage. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that and more with the head volleyball coach at Westminster College, Tammy Swearingen. She is a Columbiana native, and she is coming up next. Stick around. It's a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-2000 3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, and we are pleased to be joined by the head volleyball coach at Westminster out of the President's Athletic Conference, a solid Division III program. Tammy Swearingen, who was named the Pacific Athletic Conference or Pacific President's Athletic Conference Volleyball Coach of the Year. Coach Swearingen, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Congratulations on the honor. And by the way, we should note you are a native of the Mahoning Valley, grew up in Columbiana.
That's right. I'm a Clipper through and through.
We won't hold that against you, and this is coming from a Leetonia guy, so there you go.
A Clipper and a Penguin, how's that?
That's a solid thing. Coach, it has been an interesting spring, and I use air quotes when I say this because volleyball is normally a fall sport, and along with volleyball, the football program played in the spring, and Westminster won the PAC in both sports. This has been a fun spring for the traditional fall sports that is volleyball and football.
It is, and we're hoping that one or two more of our fall sports comes through as well. Both of our soccer teams are playing as well.
And I was looking at some stats from you guys this year, and man, let's talk about your defense. I mean, you held teams to a hitting percentage of .086, and you had 21.4 digs per set. Talk about the defense and how important it's been this year to your success.
Well, defense is, the old saying, you win championships with defense, and we pride ourselves on digging a lot of balls and playing a lot of defense. But I think one of the things that we did a lot better this year is our first line of defense was blocking at the net, and both of my middle hitters were in the top of the conference all season. I think ranked first and second with blocks. So we were very fortunate there, and we were excited about that. And when you can put up a good solid block, it certainly helps your defenders play behind the ball, play behind or off the side of the block, because the block takes away a huge part of the court.
Tammy Swearingen, the Westminster volleyball coach, and recently named the President's Athletic Conference Volleyball Coach of the Year. She's joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Westminster is a Division III school, but let me ask you, Coach, how big of a jump is it to go from high school volleyball to college volleyball?
It's a big step. It's a lot faster, obviously more intense. A lot of student athletes struggle from high school to the college ranks. We've been fortunate to have some that were just, truly special and came from some really good background and be able to start and play as first years. But it's not uncommon not to play a lot at your freshman year. But we've been pretty fortunate to recruit from some solid programs and have players be able to step in.
And in this area, we've seen the amount of girls that are starting to get involved in JO volleyball and travel go really, really up. Just talk about how much of an impact that makes, and how much of an advantage that gives you to get more reps and to expose yourself to a little bit higher set of competition in travel.
The club and junior Olympic scene has really exploded. In fact, I was on the ABCA board, and I believe volleyball is the largest growing sport for girls in high school, especially. So just having more opportunity for the girls out there, and being able to recruit at those tournaments is crucial. I mean, I'm still struggling with that now. I mean, last spring, all the tournaments were canceled, so there were no club tournaments last spring for, our seniors that were, high school seniors that are coming in as freshmen, so they lost a full semester of play. We lost our spring semester, and now even this year, kids are getting to play again, but the tournaments are fewer and farther between, and then college coaches can't get in there to watch them. So I've been watching a lot of games online. It's not quite the same effect as being able to go to the tournament and see people face to face, but you got to do what you got to do.
Coach, did you guys have a D3 tournament, or was that postponed?
The Division III national championships were canceled this year.
That's unfortunate. But when you talk about recruiting and you talk about just having to watch them online, and how do you kind of still try to look? Because I know coaches look for all the intangibles. So what kind of things do you look for online as far as the intangibles that you can see from these players when they're playing in the club sport?
Well, I look for athleticism primarily. I mean, there's some student athletes that are, just super athletic and have some volleyball skill. Obviously, if they're really, really good, we're probably not going to get them at Division III. So, I might take the elite of the elite and step down from there. So I'm not, trying to get someone that Jen Flynn at Ohio State is trying to get. So, just athleticism, attitude. They got to have some competitive fire in them, And I like to see what they do when they make a mistake and when their teammates make mistakes. Are they a good team player or are they a me player? And you got to have that team chemistry on your team. So sometimes that weans things out. Even how they react with their parents and their coach, to me, sends a message as well.
One of the absolute pluses in terms of recruiting, if you're at Westminster, is you get to show off an absolutely gorgeous campus. New Wilmington is a beautiful town, but Westminster, that college campus is absolutely gorgeous, Coach.
It is. I like to say it's a well-kept secret, but it is a gorgeous campus, a lot of green space. Not big, of course, and professors know your name, and they come to our matches. Obviously not this year, but normally we have professors in the stands cheering the team on. So it's a beautiful campus, and we just made some additions to it. I don't know if you've seen it recently, but we put in a new soccer lacrosse field. We've moved our softball field, and we built a new baseball field.
And when you're showing all that to incoming freshmen or people that you're trying to get, how much of it, you get to see their reaction to this campus? I mean, do you see a lot of people that are shocked or surprised that maybe, they were coming in and thinking, oh, this is just a Division III school, their campus will be subpar, and then all of a sudden they come into Westminster and it's like, oh my gosh, this is a really high-end campus. Do you kind of see that from the people that come in that don't really know how beautiful Westminster is?
Yeah, we do. It certainly surprises some folks. I know when we brought when the young lady from California came in that was Player of the Year, when she got to campus, she really didn't know what to expect from LA to, rural Amish country, and she fell in love with the campus, and we're so happy she did. And we've improved it since she's been there. So I think that's very important that we are constantly improving the campus, not only our athletic facilities, but also our academic buildings. We're making improvements there and the dorms. So it's constant revamping, if you will, Westminster, or updating, if you will. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but always trying to keep our thumb on the pulse.
That's a heck of a wide net that you're casting if you get someone from Los Angeles to commit to play at Westminster, Coach.
Yeah, I got lucky. I really did. For the first time, I went to a qualifier. There's some major qualifiers around the country, and one of my colleagues is like, "TM, you really need to go to this with us." So I went and landed this player, and she's just been awesome. And she's goofy-footed. She stood. It took a little bit away from her vertical, and she just wasn't comfortable. And I just said, you know what, you be you, because you're pretty doggone good. Just be you, and if you go up and you're goofy-footed and you're touching 9.4, 9.6, I really don't care.
Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. Sometimes they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I've through my time with the AVCA board, I've been able to pick the brains of a lot of Kevin Hambley at Stanford and Christy Johnson Lynch at Iowa State, and the Wisconsin coach Kelly Sheffield, some really good coaches, and Michigan coach, and I kept saying how far should I push to change the feed on this girl and they're like, is she getting the job done? I go, yeah, and they're like, leave her because she could get worse, so I left her.
Now, setting is so important in volleyball, and judging by your stats, I'm assuming you run a 6.2. Talk about the setting and how impressive your setters are, and running a 6.2 at college. You see a lot of high schools do it, but college you have to have two people that you really trust to go in and set your hitters. So talk about that and how much of a advantage it's been for you guys to have the two setters that you can run in.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate to have two solid setters. The last few years, every year we come into the season and they're saying, "Are we going to run a 5-1 or a 6-2?" And I'll say, "Well, we'll see as we go through the season, as we go through the practice, schedule, and see where we're best." And the last few years we've been better with two setters, and being able to have a right side hitter that can come in and give us more options there. Our setters, one is from Penn Trafford and one is from Meadville, both solid programs, and we've just been blessed with both of them, and they do a great job. Sam Kelly starts down for us in one, and she was named all first team, so we're excited about that because it's really hard for any setter that runs a 6-2 to have the stats against the 5-1 setters, because they're only getting half the reps. So I was really excited to see that the coaches recognized how good she was, and unfortunately I couldn't get both of them on there, but Belle did a great job too, coming to us from Meadville, from a state championship program there in Meadville as well.
Coach, are you getting a lot of your kids from Western Pennsylvania? And I ask this because, and hopefully it gets better, but the last decade or two, this area, at least on the Ohio side, has not been really great at volleyball. We are getting better, but Western Pennsylvania, you got some really good volleyball on the other side of the Mahoning Valley and the Pennsylvania side. Do you get a lot of kids from Western PA to stay home and go to Westminster?
I would say, yeah, we get a fair number. Now, I would say there's a number of athletes I would really like to have had that want to go away to school, and Westminster's too close. But we're fortunate to get some. I mean, we have, last year's state champ in North Allegheny from Malia Duffy. We enticed her to come. We have a girl from Freeport. They've won the state championship. I can't remember if she won it her senior year, but she definitely won it her junior year as a starter. So we've been fortunate to get some really good players. Megan Steele, who's leaving, a senior, was on a state championship team her senior year at Corey High School. So we've been fortunate to get some quality athletes that way. But I still recruit hard in Ohio and try to get some solid athletes. And one of my best setters was from Youngstown Liberty, and some people might raise their eyebrows at that, but she was really, really good. And So there's lots of good players in the Ohio area too. We've had some good players from Crestview and Hubbard, Canfield, Austintown. So I try to get the local kids when I can. I think it's important that their parents can come watch them play. But we reach out every once in a while too. I have one from Michigan right now, and I have an incoming from Florida coming in. So you just never know.
And we haven't even asked you about the championship match and what that championship moment felt like for you guys. And after all the obstacles that volleyball has shown, you got canceled in the fall, you had to come back and work in the spring. How much did it mean to see all that hard work pay off and win the PAC championship in really dominating fashion? You swept Grove City, and it wasn't really close.
It was a relief. I was just so excited for the team, especially. I mean, they came in, unsure, are we going to have a championship, are we not? And then it was taken away. Then the season, even the PAC wasn't sure if we would have a season. And then we had a season in the spring, and we were grateful for that. Grateful to our conference commissioner, the Westminster president, Dr. Richardson. We're so happy that, and our athletic director for supporting us, for allowing us to have that season in the spring. But jumping through the COVID hoops and the testing and all the things, you just never knew. And our motto all season was, we had to play with gratitude and attitude. Gratitude that we were getting to play, and attitude that, we got to go out and play our best every time, because you just never knew if it was going to be your last match.
Tammy Swearingen, the head volleyball coach at Westminster, the President Athletic Conference champs, don't you know, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And you bring up an interesting point, and I got to ask, with volleyball now into the fall, as we go back to normal, hopefully, do the seniors get an extra year, or are you saying goodbye to them and bringing in a new crop of freshmen all in one fell swoop?
Well, the NCAA has granted an additional year of eligibility to anybody who played this year for Division III. So anybody on the roster this year did not count against their eligibility. If our one senior wanted to return and play, she could. Right now she's heading off to graduate school, unfortunately not at Westminster. So, but if she wanted to stay, she could. And our juniors and sophomores and freshmen, I mean, it's like they played this year for free. Unfortunately not free financially for them and their parents, but free as far as eligibility goes. So if any of those students wants to stay for a fifth season, it's permissible.
Coach, did you get a chance to watch the Division I championship over the weekend?
Oh yeah, I was glued to it. This is the first Division I championship I haven't been at in years. I always go to our convention. Like I said, I've been on the board for about 8 years, the ABCA board, and our meeting's always at the D1 convention and championships. So it was weird sitting at home watching it and not being there in the arena.
It was great volleyball, I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. It was awesome, and I think the only different thing was when you have it in Omaha, it's usually a sea of red from all the Nebraska fans that come in, whether Nebraska's in it or not. They're normally in the hunt, and they were. But watching Kentucky and Texas just battle side out for side out, I mean, it was a very offensive match, and it was fun to watch.
Well, Coach, hopefully this fall, number one, we kick COVID to the curb once and for all, hopefully. More importantly, with most of your kids, all but one of your kids coming back, one would assume, and that's such a horrible word, but one would assume you should have another fantastic season and hopefully, fingers crossed, a season where you can actually play Division III volleyball tournament volleyball.
I hope so. We're really, even at the end of the season, I think going into the championships, my middle hitter said, "Coach, do we have a schedule next year? Are we going to get to play in the fall? Because we just haven't looked ahead. Every game was like, this is the most important match of the year. This is the most important match. So we really hadn't talked about the fall yet. So I said, I have a schedule for the fall. We just got to hope COVID allows us to play it. And so they're excited about hopefully playing more than 10 or 11 matches, and getting a chance to go out and just compete, more than a few times. But we're grateful for what we got, and we're grateful for this PAC championship, and but looking forward to next year, but knowing every team's getting better every year, so we have to get better too. And we can't rest on our laurels. We can't rest on this. It's over, and now we need to work hard for 2021. That sounds weird because it is 2021, but fall of 21.
What are the added challenges to getting ready for a season so quickly? Usually you have, a whole year for an off season, but now you're done now and you have to prepare for a fall season. What are some challenges that's going to face?
Well, we don't have, we didn't have the spring to train for next year and go without our senior and, think about how we want to tweak some things and do some things differently. And we did talk about it a little bit, but we didn't do it during, we were just focused on this spring and this hopeful championship that the girls were ecstatic to win. So, we don't have any prep coming into the fall. We're just going to throw it at them in the fall. And kind of like this year, we didn't have a spring last year, so we just jumped right into it.
Coach, congratulations on your success this spring, and hopefully it carries into the fall. And best of luck to you at Westminster.
Thank you so much. I appreciate, this is the first time I've ever got to do this. I appreciate you throwing some love towards volleyball and towards Westminster volleyball.
Well, absolutely.
So
yeah, absolutely. Even though you're a Clipper, we'll be more than happy to, we'll be more than happy to promote Westminster volleyball, even though you're from Columbiana. That's all right.
Well, I think I've been a Titan longer than I was a Clipper. So
there you go.
Years now over there.
See that now I'm a bigger fan of yours now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Coach, continued success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and again, I appreciate having the opportunity to do this and speak on behalf of my players and Westminster College.
Fantastic. All the best to you, Coach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tammy Swearingen, the head volleyball coach at Westminster. And Columbiana native. She played some volleyball at Youngstown State University.
Has, by the way, a heck of a volleyball program.
Oh, yes, they do.
I think Macy Linhart, who is a senior at Columbiana this year, was head and shoulders the best libero in the area. So Columbiana has a very strong program, and they're going to lose quite a bit, but I'm sure they'll rebuild and bounce back from losing some important seniors like Grace Whitmer and Macy Linhart and some others.
And just outside of the village is a program that year in, year out is all kinds of fun to watch at Crestview, and then you have Hubbard, which is a phenomenal program year in, year out.
Hubbard had to take a little bit of a step back when her name escapes me. There's a girl that left Hubbard early to go to Ohio State early. She left her senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, some of the Hubbard seniors saw the writing on the wall, per se, that year and decided to quit as well, unfortunately. And then their program had to take a couple years to bounce back from that. But this year, they were back on their feet. So good to see a very historic, proud program kind of regroup from a couple of years of struggling.
Yeah, and obviously,
and then Fitch and Canfield, my word, that's good volleyball.
Yeah, it's solid volleyball. Hopefully, one of our teams can make a really, really deep run into.
That's the hard part.
Tournament.
Like, our really good teams are also Division I teams, and that Division I bracket is just so tough to get out of. So that's the unfortunate thing.
But there is some terrific college volleyball on the other side of the Mahoning Valley into the Pennsylvania side of it.
They play incredible. Holding your opponents to an average of 0.86 hitting percentage is just, it's phenomenal defense. They dig really well, 21.4 digs per set. They block.
Now, what is a dig for everyone that doesn't know much about volleyball?
When someone attacks over the net, so
Yeah, you're spiking it over the net.
Spike, people in the volleyball world don't call it a spike, it's an attack. But spike for the people that are new to it, a spike over and then if you go down and get it as a defender, that's a dig.
Okay.
As long as someone else touches it. Now it can't bounce off. That you don't get a dig just because you got a hand on it. It's got to be a pass to another player to get a dig. So 21 of those per set, pretty impressive.
Wow.
And then the hitting percentage is kills minus errors over total attacks. So an attack is anytime you swing over, whether it's an error or not. Then you take your kills minus your errors over total swings. So they're holding a team to 0.86, which is a really low hitting percentage. And they have a pretty solid team one themselves. I mean, they're hitting 231 as a team. So that's a pretty solid team hitting percentage, 231, and then holding people to 0.86.
Interesting. So 8.6% of the time they're successful.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Which is
that's pretty good. That's pretty solid to say the least. All right. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We'll take a time out, be back with more. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We are going to be making way for the Power Hour kids in about half hour or so. I'll take you through the 3 o'clock hour. I got a varsity game to do tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Who you got?
I'm not saying.
Oh, come on.
Not saying. I'm just, I'm not saying, but it'll be the first varsity game of the year. So,
can you? Is it like? Will it be high quality baseball? Can you at least say that? Like, will it be without? No, don't do it because you're gonna. Whoever shows up is gonna be like, "Well, you told us we weren't high quality."
Well, exactly. I'm not about to do that.
That's a bad question. I retract my question.
I will say it's a league game.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that.
I think every game today is a league game. I don't think there's any non-conference on Mondays.
Well, then I'm in good shape.
Way to narrow it down.
I'm in good shape then. I have a league game today.
Ursulin's saying, "Thank God we don't play." Well, now they play in the Steel Valley, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it. Is Kinley Catholic's independent, right?
JFK?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're independent.
They're saying, "Thank God we don't have a league, so we definitely don't have."
Wow, man, that's awful. I have 3 varsity games this week.
I gotta bust your chops.
And 2 of them are non-league and 1 is league. So,
all right.
Yeah, there you go. So this will be fun. I look forward to this. So this will be a good time. No, I'm not saying anything. I don't need anybody. Oh my God, this guy's awful.
The game starts in 2 hours. If you're awful, you're awful. It doesn't matter if they know you're coming or not.
Well, that's true. That's true, and hopefully I won't be awful.
If your strike zone is in the left-hander's
box. I don't know about doing home plate. I don't know about that.
What?
We'll find out where I am with that.
You're doing home plate.
No, I mean you never know. I'll do bases. I could be doing bases. I mean we'll find out. We'll find out where I am.
See, Ron Potesta is behind home plate.
Oh, if I'm a home plate umpire, I'll be behind the plate.
His nickname is Target, all right?
I think your show sucks. They give the fastball sign. Oh, sorry, Blue. Thought it was a curveball. Oops. Don't want to get anyone any bad ideas or anything like that. Yeah, that's not cool. Definitely not cool. All right, so I'm busy this week, and the regular season ends as I'm looking at my schedule. The regular season ends in the second week of May. Yeah, second week of May. So I'm not doing any playoffs because that's all varsity
coming down the stretch.
Yeah, so we're talking 3 weeks left in the regular season.
Final turn.
It's get a lot of baseball games and softball games in because you're 2 or 3 weeks away from. That's it. Your regular season comes to a close, and let's go play some tournament ball now and see what happens. So, and then by the way, we're not too far away. 1 month from tomorrow, exactly 1 month from tomorrow, the Mahoning Valley Scrappers start up at Eastwood Field.
You're right.
So we're not too far away from that happening in the Mahoning Valley. So looking forward to all of this stuff.
I can't wait to see what the promotion schedule for the Scrappers is going to be, because they always have really great promotions for their. Once we've said it before, minor league, especially the Scrappers, their marketing department is always really, really good compared to Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to see what the Scrappers promotions are going to be this year.
Yeah, this will be they're
not affiliated with the Indians anymore, so they can't do stuff that they used to, like Indians or whatever it may be.
Now you can still do bobblehead dolls.
I hope we still get bobbleheads. I hope we still get really cool uniforms.
I would hope so.
Exotic jersey night.
Sure.
Some of those jerseys were awesome.
Well, considering the fact that
let's get a YSN jersey.
You might have some pretty fun talent coming into this, and let's be honest. I mean, someone may be playing themselves into a first or second round draft pick. You can hang on to that and say, well, this person may get to the major leagues, and 5 years, 6 years down the road, this nice little jersey that you bought in your jersey auction is worth something because this guy's a big leaguer. Now, I would personally have, if I bought a jersey,
Ron would lose it because we've multiple times in this show since it started. Hey, I have this really cool thing that's probably really valuable. Well, where is it? I don't know.
I actually went through my stuff yesterday.
Perfect timing.
Yesterday, I went through a bunch of my stuff.
It's like you knew I was going to throw a jab at you, and you said, "I'm not ready."
I actually went through a bunch of my stuff yesterday, And the one really cool item that I have that I completely forgot that I had. Do you remember in the mid-'90s, the Indians were the talk of everyone?
Right.
Okay. Well, the Indians were on a Wheaties box.
Oh, yeah. You told us about this.
Okay.
But then you said you couldn't find it.
I found it yesterday, and it is in pristine condition.
And it's an unboxed
It
box.
is an unboxed box of Wheaties Cleveland Indians 1995 edition of the Cleveland Indians, and it is in pristine condition.
That went away really quick, that Wheaties box.
Yeah.
Because once they lost the World Series...
Well, yeah, that kind of went... you guys, no good.
Where's our Braves box?
Well, they didn't have the talent the Indians had, unfortunately. I mean, they had it in 3 pitchers, Avery, Maddox,
That's all you need.
Actually, Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz were the 3 pitchers. Avery and Kent Merker were the 4th and 5th wheel that went to the bullpen when these 3, they didn't suck. So they were pretty good. But no, I mean, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it's still in pretty good shape. Okay, good. And now I've located it, so now I put it back where it is. And just wanted to basically, throw out some stuff that I didn't need and make sure that everything was in pretty decent shape. So it is. So just hanging on to it, see what happens.
Whenever I find something that I didn't realize I still had or I thought that I lost or whatever, I make sure to put it somewhere this time that I'll not forget where I put it.
Yeah. Now my baseball cards, not so much.
They're gone.
They're not gone,
They're
but
lost.
you know how...
They're in another dimension.
You know how when you put stuff away in the baseball cards had those long, thin box that's... It's perfect for the baseball cards, but if it's not completely stacked from beginning to end and real tight, the card may bow a little bit. Yeah. A lot of my cards are bowed, which,
there
sucks.
goes their value.
There goes. Well, I mean, they were all garbage, pretty much. And some of the cards that didn't have that were valuable, quote unquote, they're in a separate.
3,000 garbage cards might equal 1 good card. So
This is true. So my sets are okay, but the cards that were not completely filled, the box completely filled and tight, they're screwed. 50 Ways of Sunday.
See, we got them in the binders with the, you put the cards in the little plastic sheet.
Yeah, see, I have the good ones in that.
We have like 5 binders full of cards, and they're protected in the little plastic.
Yeah, see, I have the really, really good ones. Like I have a 1959 Sandy Koufax card, which is in reasonably good shape, being that it's 62 years old. It's not mint condition, but it's reasonably good shape. I have a 1971 Nolan Ryan card, which was worth $200 last I checked, and that's in really good shape. 1979, and this was the year where Ozzie Smith's rookie card was cut in a horrible way where it's not centered. 90 some odd % of Ozzie Smith's rookie cards were cut in a way that it wasn't centered. I have one of the 10% cards that was centered perfectly, and it is in perfect condition.
That's gonna.
So that's one of my favorite cards.
It's gonna be a pretty penny one day.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite cards.
When you're desperate for money and you're like, oh.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be looking at this going, oh, Ozzie can fetch me. Ozzie can fetch me my electric bill this month.
Save me, Ozzie. I need my Lorna Dunes.
Yeah, we're really destitute. Well, how destitute are you? Ozzie Smith is paying for my utility bill this month. That's not funny, but it kind of, sort of, the welcome to my world kind of thing. Yeah. So, no, but they're in pretty decent shape, I suppose. So that'll be fun.
Don't ever start eating Spam, because that stuff is nasty.
Oof.
I figured out what Spam stands for. Stuff posing as meat.
It's kind of like PETA, people who eat tasty animals.
It's a Native American word for vegetarian. It's a lousy hunter.
Oh, God. 330-886-0813. I think now that we've pissed off The spam people and the PETA people. There you go.
And the vegetarians.
And the vegetarians. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business.
Emails can be sent to Ron Potesta.
Yeah. I'll take the brunt of it.
You better.
I'll take the brunt of all of it. All right. Baseball tonight. Your Royals, who are they playing?
They are finishing up the 4-game series with Detroit, and they've already won 3, so hoping for a 4-game sweep.
Indians are at home against Minnesota. Minnesota is coming off an absolute ass. Derek Shelton is having this team at 500 right now. 11 wins, 11 losses. They're a 500 team. I'm speechless.
Especially the way they started. Didn't they start like 1-5?
Yeah, they didn't start very well.
The opening day was fun because they put a smackdown on the Cubs. And then they lost like 5 in a row. We're sitting here like, here comes the Pirates.
Well, they play Kansas City tomorrow in Pittsburgh. Are you gonna go to any of those games?
Wednesday.
You going Wednesday? Mm-hmm. All right. You're in your Royals gear?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I mean, the only reason why you're not going to get your ass kicked is because you're going to be wheeling up there, and people are going to be like,
"That's what this is good for." I get to tick everybody off, and they can't do squat about it.
Yeah, I got a really close friend of mine. His son is a gigantic Steelers fan, and he just got admitted to graduate school at the University of Buffalo, up in Amherst, and he realizes pretty quickly that the Steelers are in Buffalo this year, so he's going to get tickets for the game. And I told his father, because he and I were talking yesterday, and I said, "You better tell your son not to wear any Steelers gear going into that place. I mean, there's one thing to cheer for him. You bring Steelers gear into Buffalo, they don't take too kindly to that.
You gotta take it though. You gotta take it for your team, man.
They don't take too kindly.
What's the point of going to root for your team if you're not gonna root? It's like I'm going to go to a Steelers game. I'm going to root for the Steelers, but I'm going to be wearing neutral colors.
Okay, when the Chiefs go to Pittsburgh,
I've already been to a Browns game in Chiefs stuff, decked out in Kansas City. Like that's what.
Did you get side glanced at all?
Oh yeah, you do. And then they beat us, and then everything's fine. If your team doesn't win, you're fine because they're all happy. They'll give you like jars. Oh, it was great to have you here.
Yeah,
you guys are having a great season.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what you usually get. And then if we beat them, it's like.
Yeah. Oh wow.
One time, my dad took the whole family to a Browns Chiefs game. And this was back in like the early 90s. I was like 2 or 3, so it had to be like 93, 94. Browns were decent.
Mm-hmm. They were okay. Yeah.
And the Chiefs were playing, and we had stuff thrown at us walking into that game. So, it can get nasty.
I remember the Bills played Cleveland in the 90s on a Monday night, and I had my Bills gear on, and people were throwing peanut shells at me. They were firing peanut shells at me. I'm like, oh, man, it sucks to be you guys. You're not my team.
That's when you want to win really bad. Yeah. Because if you win, you just get to...
Yeah. You just turn around and go, how come you guys didn't throw filled peanut shells? I would have been more than happy to snag a few of those and eaten them. I mean, I'm just saying, it sucks to be you guys. You didn't go to any Super Bowls. And then, of course, you hear but you went to, how many Super Bowls did you lose? To which,
how many Super Bowls did you go to?
To which I can sit back and say exactly what you said. At least we've gone to a Super Bowl.
What are you saying here? I mean,
now,
at least we've had forget Super Bowl winning season.
Yeah, when both teams sucked years and years and years years and years, it was all right. I mean, Cleveland fans come to Buffalo, Buffalo fans come to Cleveland. And the two cities are kind of like cousins.
If you took me to a Bills game, I would be in Chiefs stuff,
and you would be side glanced at.
Oh yeah,
and people would probably say some interesting things to you. Or
I'd get a Josh Allen jersey and then have the little red arrows going through it.
Oh wow! I don't know. I don't know if that wheelchair would save your ass. I'm just saying that's just not right. But I get the feeling now, if Cleveland and Buffalo play each other, and the last time they played each other was in 2019? 2019? Yeah, it was 2019 because Baker and Allen were both starting. So it was 2019 when they played, and Cleveland won that game. Allen was terrible in that game.
That was what, his first year, right?
It was. They're both in their second year.
Oh well, Allen was terrible in his second.
Yeah, they were both in their second year.
No, he wasn't. He won.
He was improving.
He could have won a playoff game. He could have won a playoff game.
Yeah. He was improving.
If Deshaun Watson didn't helicopter out of a sack, he would have won a playoff game.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson is not helicoptering out of his legal issues.
Deshaun Watson's not going to be playing football anytime soon. That's for sure.
Forget the Hall of Fame. He won't be able to get in the hall of his own house.
Well,
is he going to jail?
And there's a pretty good chance there's going to be some issues for Deshaun. There's no two ways about that. But I mean, the last time these two teams played, I mean, it was kind of fun. Buffalo fans came to Cleveland, and everyone was like, "Okay, well, you kind of had the sense though that Cleveland was starting to get good, Buffalo was getting good, and now you're looking at this as." Oh, Bills fans are assholes, and Buffalo fans are saying Cleveland fans are assholes. I'm looking forward to this rivalry now.
Tell me though, but are Bills fans as crazy on the road as they are? Because I feel like you get a little bit more comfortable.
No. They're as crazy. I saw, no lie, I actually saw in the Muni parking lot, in the tailgate lot, I actually saw Bills fans bring their own tables and do that stuff. They're as crazy
it's a tradition.
On the road.
You gotta break a table.
I don't understand that.
We're gonna bring you a table.
You don't expect me to do anything with that. I'm not doing it.
It's the christening of all Bills fans.
It's not happening on this watch. Not happening. I had a close friend of mine who was a Browns fan who has always wanted to go through a table. I said
you have to be smart about it. You make it a breakaway table and.
Well, no, I mean you go through.
It appears that but the people that aren't smashed while they're doing it are smart about it and make it a breakaway table so you're not going right into it.
The problem is you're getting these highlights of drunk inebriated Bills fan on top of a car. And they don't jump far enough, and they land head first into the cement, and you're just looking, going, "What the hell?"
They're in Willy Wonka. They're in a world of pure inebriation.
Oh God!
World of pure inebriation.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's what the Bills fans are in.
Yeah. So my friend wants to go through a table, and I said, "All right, I'll get a Dudley Boys type of thing where one person picks you up, and your legs are here, and they pick you up like this." And they jump and slam you through a table.
Probably not the best idea in the world.
No, it's not. I mean, it's stupid.
What happened?
I mean, I hate to
wrap it up. What happened?
I hate to tell. Oh no, nothing happened.
Okay. I thought this was a horror story because you were saying. Okay.
No. I'm just saying, as a Bills fan, that's just stupid. I mean, it's just stupid. You couldn't pay me enough to go through a table.
I think I could.
No.
I think everyone has a price. I bet if I put like $5,000 on the table.
Hell no.
If I put $50,000 on the table.
Well, now you might be talking about me going through a table.
Like you go through this table once and here's 50 grand. Skittles. Take it. All you have to do is go through a table once. On film.
Here's the problem with that. With my luck, that's going to cost me 50 grand more for my hospital bill. So the 50 grand is going to go to my hospital bill, and I'm still going to get charged another 50 grand. So
we'll break the table. We have to take I think we probably should take a break and then come back and run through the games on the network tonight and wrap it up for Power Hour.
There you go.
Because we're running. It's closing into midnight, Cinderella.
That's a plan that we can all get behind. All right, the closing thoughts and without a table breaking. Coming up in a bit as a table is right next to me.
Right there. Let's do it!
It's not happening. We're back in a bit. Stick around. More to come.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Erin Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
Now, we're going the extra mile for you with an additional $1,500 on your trade. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point as we get set to close up shop on this Monday afternoon. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. Got plenty of games on the network tonight. Mr. Anthony, you have the game, sir.
We'll start with baseball. We have Beaver Local at Salem. Alec will be there. We have Canfield at Boardman. Richie Giuliano calling that game. It should be fun. Boardman's playing pretty hot baseball right now, and we've already talked about how good Canfield looks.
Yeah, that'll be a really good game for both teams and a good test for both teams.
At Scene Park, Howland is going to be at Cardinal Mooney. At Scene Park, Andy will have the call there. Jefferson will be at Niles. Ian O'Brien will have the call for that one. At Eastwood Field, Rootstown is going to be playing Warren JFK. Eric will have the call there. Struthers traveling to South Range. Brennan Miller will have that call. Newton Falls at Campbell Memorial on Scene 1 at 7 o'clock. Andy will have the call there. And also at 7, Harding will be at Fitch. Ty Bartell has the call there. As far as softball goes, we have Howland at Mooney at Field of Dreams. Billy Mack will be calling that one. Interesting tidbit. Howland's Chloe Lopez has hit a home run in 3 consecutive games. The state record is 4. So if she goes yard tonight against Mooney, she will tie the state record for most consecutive games with a home run. She has 7 on the season, 3 in the last 3 games. Lakeview will be at Hubbard. Jamie Thompson will have that call. I will be at South Range as Struthers comes to town. And Ty Bartell is going to be doing a doubleheader tonight as he will be calling the Fitch softball game at 5 and the Fitch baseball game at 7. Fitch hosting Warren Harding in softball and baseball. Down the last game of the night is going to be Western Reserve at Sebring, and Matt Seidel will have the call there, softball-wise. So that's how everything squares up, and that's a lot of games on the network tonight. It's going to be a good night for weather-wise. I think it's going to be low to mid-60s, pretty sunny, no rain in the forecast, which is all good for us. 81 tomorrow, Ron.
Yeah, and I don't get to do a game tomorrow.
Well, then you can go watch a game.
Exactly. That's
How's
what
that?
I plan on doing.
Have you been a spectator yet?
I have.
Where did you go to watch?
I went to Scene.
Okay.
Went to Scene. As soon as my game was over, I was a spectator for another game.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Well, yeah, it does.
You were already there working.
Well, I was working, but as soon as mine was done, I didn't leave. I decided to watch a game.
All right,
it definitely works.
Let's go through the games tomorrow to see where you might want to go.
Okay. I mean, now, assuming that I don't get called in.
Boardman's playing Canfield at Canfield.
That might be my destination.
Depending on how this game goes tonight, that might be a big one.
Yeah.
West Branch is hosting Canton South. Carrollton is going to Salem. Let's see, you got Liberty at LeBray. Latonia is hosting East Palestine. You might want to go see your alma mater play.
This is true.
Mooney and Urson on Scene 1 at 7 o'clock. Holy War Part 2.
I might be doing a doubleheader. I might be doing a doubleheader tomorrow. This will be fun. Might be doing a doubleheader. All right. Many thanks to Dana Balish and Westminster volleyball coach Tammy Swearingen for checking in today. I'll be here tomorrow, noon to 3. We will have YSU baseball skipper Dan Bertolini. He'll be chiming in, talking about the 4-game sweep of Oakland and the monster series coming up this weekend against UIC. Talk to you tomorrow, noon to 3. Power Hours coming up next. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. We will talk tomorrow, noon to 3 on YSN Live.